Hello, friends, adventurers, and welcome to Grognard and Friends. We have decided to do a special holiday one-shot. This is Victor.
My name is Vicarious Felidae, or it's easier for most people to call me Victor. I grew up the son of the leader of the Church of the Great Deceiver. I never knew much of my mother, and the raising, quote unquote, I received from my father was distant at best. When I was a younger man, I was out and about the town one day when I found out that a tragedy had occurred, and my father had passed away. After then, the church had undergone a change in authority, and most of the people I knew were replaced. Luckily enough, the people who did replace my father were kind, and they took me in as a ward. And it was there I lived for most of my youth until I was ready to go out on my own. Since then, I've been trying to find my way while also helping the people that took me in.
You have been brought to a small little village. Village is actually very, very generous. You were told to make contact at a inn, which seemed little more than a glorified farmhouse. The downstairs made up like a bar. There are a few people in there. It is dark right now. The sun has gone down. There is a fog covering the land. The trees are not doing very well in this particular area. It's a mountainous region. There's mountains all around. And you know, a lot of this is very possible due to the plague that has been running rampant in the countryside and even the neighboring countries. The barkeep, who is an old woman, says, "Did you want a room? You don't look like you're from around here. Or a drink. Perhaps I could interest you in a drink."
I would love a drink. If it wouldn't trouble you too much, I was looking for another person that may have come through. I can only tell you that they may be wearing a brown cravat and maybe a blue hat.
Ah, yes. Someone fitting that description came in a little while ago. Matter of fact, I believe they might have stepped out to the privy. So if you just wait your time, they'll probably be there. She turns around, pours a bottle, and puts it out to you. It's a brownish liquid, which normally you're used to it being a little clear. This one seems to be a little cloudier and viscous. She puts it in a tumbler and slides it across to you and says, that'll be a gold piece."
Absolutely, and I'll give her two.
Oh, you're very welcome. And it's about that time that a gentleman comes in through a door from the back, and a tall, thin gentleman wearing tails with a blue jacket and a matching blue top hat and a brown cravat around his throat.
Hello, sir. A wonderful night for a drink. Don't you agree?
Every night's a wonderful night for a drink, sir.
You fit the description of someone that I have been told might be interested to talk to.
And it's funny that you fit the description of someone I was told I should talk to as well. And he sticks out his hand and says, "Mr. Verna, I believe I am your contact."
Oh, well then join me for a drink, won't you?
"Oh, be my pleasure." Two of you sit down at the bar, and the woman comes back over and says, "More of the same?"
Yes, please.
"Two?"
Yes.
Darian Goldspire. I'm a half-elf. I look just about like anybody else, except for some slightly pointed ears. I was raised in the human community. I had to move on and become what I am in my profession. I've excelled at being a wine merchant.
So you step into this inn, which is a little more than a glorified farmhouse. There's a couple sitting at a table in the far corner, and at the bar you see two tall, thin gentlemen. One of them wearing a blue top hat, a blue set of tails, red breeches, and a brown cravat around his neck.
That would be my connection. I make my way across the pub or the tavern. And as I cross, I pay attention to the people in the tavern, looking at body language.
As you step up, you hear the person in the blue top hat say, "And I believe you are who I am supposed to meet as well."
I am Darian Goldspire.
"Yes, I was told of your coming." Extends his hand to shake and says, "I am Mr. Verna. I believe I will be the two of your passage for this evening."
Very appreciated, Verna.
A large woman with some boils on her face comes over from behind the bar and says, "Ah, party's getting bigger, I see. Would this gentleman be joining you for another drink?"
Yes, certainly. I shall.
Okay, so one more or three.
3.
Okay, very good, sir. And she pours you a drink, puts it out to you. It's a tumbler of a viscous liquid of what you would normally expect to be kind of clear and a light brown caramel color, but this one seems to be a little thicker and a little more almost solid looking. And she turns to you, Victor, and says, "That'll be 5 gold pieces for the last 2 and this 3."
And I'll
Starts
give her
pouring.
6.
Thank you, sir. In
You're
times
welcome,
like this,
Verna.
every little bit helps.
Vernon, you're quite the gentleman. Or Victor, excuse me.
Oh, thank you. I try.
Mr. Verna says, "Well, drink up, my friends. We have a bit of a ways to go."
Cheers, gentlemen.
And he raises a glass and says, "Once again, I thank you. This will be good to keep us
Cheers.
warm and in the outdoors. It's a little brisk in the mountains." Sucks it down. It's hot. And when I say hot, it's a cool liquid. It's room temperature, but the alcohol content is such that it kind of burns. There are some vegetal flavors in there that you recognize and some you don't. Overall, it does appear to be a spirit that you're not quite familiar with, but you can tell it has a little bit of a kick. And a few more of these, and you might not be leaving this in because it would be so strong. But for the time being, the ones that you're having, that should be enough to keep you warm in the cool air of the mountains amongst the fog and dampness.
So, Verna, you have transportation for us to the Duke's, I understand?
Yes, it's across the way in a barn.
Is it a long journey?
It'll be a little bit. It'll be a couple hours, probably. It's up in the mountains. Okay.
Is the Duke expecting us?
Oh, that I don't know. I don't think so. The Duke hasn't been expecting anybody for about a month now. Every now and then, some people are allowed in, from what I gather. You're going to be gaining your entrance with supplies.
I guess we won't be riding up front.
Oh, no one's going to be checking. I'll let you out around the back and you just walk it around the front to the doors. They should be open. It's the gates that are sealed tight. Duke's a little touchy about diseases and such.
It's understandable.
So we're going to be taking you around to the back. I have entrance to the back gates because every now and then the Duke's party runs out of food or wine, or big on wine there.
Does the Duke have family, or is it just
I don't know.
employees that are at the estate?
Oh, lots of friends. The Duke's a very popular gentleman, from what I gather. At least I hear he's a gentleman. I've never met him myself.
Typically aristocrats, or I assume it's not
Snooty,
common
snobby
people.
types, yeah. People whose britches are always a tad too tight, I imagine.
I know the kind. Too well.
So why don't we head across the street to the barn, now that we've all finished our drinks? Mr. Verna gets up, nods to the bartender and says, "Landlord, is always a pleasure." And she says, "Oh, do come around again. Always love your company. You too, gentlemen. Please come back.
Cheers.
Have a good
As
evening,
long as
Verna.
you don't have the plague, you're always welcome."
This is the lady
We're
with
very
the book.
specific. I make sure to ask everybody because I don't want anyone getting sick. So I make sure to ask everybody first. So you can always be sure that you'll be safe here. So you head out, you head across the street into a barn. A young man opens up the gates, and there is a large carriage, but the back is almost like a flatbed. So it's the carriage equivalent of a pickup truck, practically. And he opens the door for you, and the windows have curtains pulled. He takes his cravat and puts it up over his face and his nose and climbs up into the front and says, "Boy, was it fed and brushed?" "Yes, sir. Just like before." "Good." And he tosses him a coin and he says, "You two ready?"
Ready.
Yes.
Takes a stick and shuts the door behind you, and you're off. You head out of this little village that's only a handful of buildings, into the night, into the fog, into the damp. There are dark trees, leaves on next to none of them. and you head into this darkness. You hear the emptiness around you. Gradually, the road bends and turns and begins to rise up into the mountains. And you go for about an hour and a half. Before you, you see things open up. Surrounding you on all sides are these tall, dark mountains. And as you get closer, you see a 20-foot high wall of stone that goes on in each direction for as far as the eye can see. From up in the front of the wagon, a little horn blow. And the two doors, you hear clicking and dragging and pulling of metal on metal, and gradually the doors of this gate start to open. And you pull through the gate, and your eye is immediately taken by this large estate in front of you. It is a large, ornate building that looks like has a bit of a cathedral feel to it, but yet obviously has been turned into someone's home. And it's a bit of a ways up to the main house, and the ground is a reddish clay and dirt all around. There really isn't anything growing in this ground. And as you go, you just see this land on all sides just going out for quite a ways, and with that stone wall surrounding the perimeter of this land, that the house seems to be just up on a slight rise that goes down to the wall. And on the other side of the walls, you see the fog just kind of being held back by the wall, and dead trees and mountains in the distance all around you. The cart comes up to the back of the house, and you hear the door open up and says, out with you. Around to the front. I have stuff to offload. And as you get out, you notice that there are a number of crates. Darian, you recognize them as probably crates of wine. And you hear Mr. Verna go on, be quick about you. I've got stuff to do. I want to get out of this place.
So as we exit, Victor will look at Darian and say, so I don't think we had a chance to talk details. What brings you to the Dukes?
I'm a wine connoisseur, and I'm looking to see what he has. I've heard he's got some of the best.
Given everyone's sensitivities, maybe it's good if we watch each other's back.
I agree.
So it's an odd place already.
There you see two large wooden doors that go up about 10 feet high, large wooden doors, a little ornate, very old looking. And there is a large brazier on the ground on either side of them. But you don't see any people at the front.
Are they expecting you, Darian?
Yes, they're definitely expecting me, or what they thought would be me. I knock on the door and to see if anybody responds.
You knock on the door and roll me a 20-sider, please.
A 3. Lovely.
Yeah, nothing happens.
Victor, should give it a shot.
After a few moments, the door opens, and a large man, probably about 6'8", dressed formally, with a little mask around his eyes. Darian, there was a box actually in the carriage when you got in, with your name on it.
All right. So whatever was in that box, I'm assuming that's what I'm supposed to wear, so that will be what I don.
It is a Harlequin outfit with a jester's cap with little bells on the end of them, and a matching mask. So did you put that on in the carriage?
Yes.
So as you were walking to the front, Victor, you heard his little bells jingle and as he went along. Eventually, the door opens up. They're dark-complected, and he says, well, how did you get out there, gentlemen? Obviously, you found yourself on the wrong side of the door. Come in. It's cold out there. And he brings you in. Come, I will announce you again. I'm sure someone announced you before, but it's always nice to be announced, isn't it? I've never had the pleasure myself, but I understand it's quite the thrill. So he says, and who might the two of you be?
I am Vicarious Feely Day, but you may just introduce me as Victor, if it's easier for you. It is a mouthful.
And you, sir?
I am Darian, and a wine
Darian.
connoisseur.
Okay, do your last name, Darian?
Goldspire.
Goldspire. He says, myself, my name is Jupiter. And he opens the doors and says, and the first thing you get hit with is the light. There are braziers in the four corners. There are chandeliers. The light has a bit of a greenish tinge to it. It's a little odd. The braziers look like regular fire. The two sides are lined with pillars. In the center is a platform with a band playing. In front of that is a pedestal with the large statue of a horse rearing up on it. You get the smell of meats and body odor. And this music is playing loud, and Jupiter has his booming voice, and he announces Mr. Vicarious Filiday and Mr. Darian Goldspire Wine Merchant. And he shuts the doors and just strolls off. And all around you hear people, you see people, they are all dressed. Some of them in full-fledged costumes. Some of them dressed in fancy dress, just with intricate masks. Some of them are quite ornate and quite beautiful. Some border on the grotesque. Some you're not quite sure what they are. Some of the costumes are quite interesting. In one corner, you see what looks like a number of orangutans tied together with a chain. You see two people in a costume that looks to be some sort of creature eating its tail, and one costume. You see, strangely, Victor, you see over there talking to a couple of women what looks like a man completely naked walking on his hands, until you realize it's a costume, and that he has his regular arms, but coming out of his shoulders are two legs that are flopped backwards, and his mask is obviously that portion of his anatomy. You see a number of people in all sorts of masks and all sorts of what look like creatures, but are just costumes of different sorts. The music is loud. There's smoke in the air. Both of you, give me another perception check, please.
Give me a roll.
Oh, you're doing quite well today.
Killing me. But I've got that +5 going.
I think that answers that. Victor, you notice a couple things with that roll. You notice up around the topmost part of this room, which goes up quite a ways, like the ceiling goes up quite a ways, but the top 20 feet behind, like right at the edge of the pillars, it's some sort of thing surrounding. It looks like there might be a balcony up there surrounding the entire room, but above the pillars, it looks almost like black lace, but it doesn't flow like black lace. It looks like it might be some sort of metalwork, but with lots of openings, and you see little movement behind there all around the entire room. But what catches your attention most of all is to your right as you've entered the room. There is a pendulum that swings and comes about this close to your side, and it just swings and up above, even above where you think this balcony is, there is a huge black ornate clock, and you hear the ticking, and it's loud.
So at this point, I'm going to look at Victor, and I'm like, hey, I've been in many halls such as this, but I recall them having a greenish glow.
I'm noticing this giant pendulum that's almost hitting us. Beyond that, it just looks like an aristocrat's estate where they've spent far too much money on the surroundings rather than the people outside the walls.
The air has a weird quality to it besides the smoke. Those chandeliers where the light has a bit of a green tinge to it, mixed with the firelight, just gives it an off feel. And as you kind of look around, the costumes of people seem a little off as well. There's a lot of them that don't look like happy costumes like you would imagine from a masquerade. Some of them are quite obscene. Some of them are quite unusual. You get the feeling that there's just something off here.
Victor, let's do a quick pick somebody out that you feel comfortable with and introduce yourself and see if you can pick up on a vibe as we make our way through this room. I'll do the same.
Does it look like there's anyone who's working here, Paul?
You see people with trays of drinks and such walking around.
I'll approach one of them and say, I've just arrived as may have been obvious by the introduction. Did we come on a night of a special masquerade? Is there a special event this evening?
They look at you with a curious look. It's two people with masks. One seems to have a really drawn face of sadness, and the other seems to have eyes popping out of it with a big, unsettling grin. And they're just about to talk when you hear this loud, booming chime from the clock. Everything goes still. The entire place, even the music, like comes to a crashing halt for a second, and everyone looks up at the clock, and it's almost like they freeze for the time that it's chiming, and they all have this weird feel about them. And then when it stops chiming, the two people say, I'm sorry, you were saying? You know this is the masquerade. It's been going on for days. Have you been drinking all night? Is that why you don't realize that you're at the masquerade that you've been at for days?
It could be. I have indulged a little more than usual this evening. I apologize for the inconvenience and the odd question.
The other person says, perhaps we have somebody who we can bring forward at Mass tonight. And the other one says, hush, hush. You'll excuse us. Our glasses are empty. We need to go find some. And they turn and walk off.
Victor, I'm not the brightest guy, but I usually know what that means. Do you catch my drift?
Yeah, I feel like I might be in a little danger if we go to Mass. I've also experienced situations like that myself.
Yeah, being the guest of honor is usually not the best. I'm going to look for the nearest lady, somewhat attractive, but not completely, and I'm going to
They're
gently
wearing masks, so you'll have to be a little
Best
more male-oriented visual decision-making here.
I will be looking at their ankles. If they have ankles, they're probably good to go. If they don't, I'll pass.
You notice some of the hottest ankles you've ever seen in your life, talking to a person dressed as a ostrich. They don't seem to be wearing anything more than strategically placed jewels all over their body, with a very large kind of wingtip mask that's jewel encrusted with a lot of feathers coming out of the top of different colors.
Does she have a jewel that stands out as if that's meant to get your attention?
Two of them, actually.
But I touch the arm and I whisper her, I love your rubies.
Very slowly, she just kind of turns her head and looks down at you. She's quite tall, turns to you, and she seems a little airy in her personality and says, thank you. Most people do.
You're very welcome, my lady. When I touched her arm, did I feel anything indicating that she might not be all there, or under
there's a person there, if that's what you're asking.
Okay. The skin, was it cold? Was it soft? Was it clammy? Or did it feel like a normal warm-blooded human?
Felt like a normal warm-blooded human.
Okay, but just somebody who looked a little bit out of it.
Yes.
Victor, are you here for the wine as well, or do you have other motivations?
I'm interested in the work that the Duke is doing and wanted to see if maybe there was anything I could do to participate and just learn more about what he's doing. He seems to be spreading his word quickly and broadly.
Interesting.
So this interests me. So there's lots of crazy costumes, people drinking, having a good time.
And like I said, you see in the back around some of the walls, there are tables that look like they're filled with meats and other foods, and tables filled with casks and bottles. And there's also some people walking around with trays with wine goblets on them, offering them to people. And as you walk around a little bit, one of the things you are noticing, both of you, and it's pretty obvious to you, is there is a smell in here besides the smoke in the air, because there are a lot of people smoking cigars and pipes and such. There's a heavy layer of smoke in the air from the braziers as well, which seem to have the smells of some very unique woods. But there is also, once you go up to people, there is a smell from them as well. There is the smell of people who haven't washed in a while, people who've sweated. And there's a weird kind of smell that you've never smelled before coming off them as well. Kind of like a cross between cinnamon and citrus. It's a little bizarre.
Would it also be that kind of smell that you might find at the house of an old person?
In some cases, but not the general rule. And you hear crashing and the doors fly open. And why don't you describe your entrance there, Eleanor?
You see a large Loxodon woman enter the ballroom. She's dressed in some chainmail. She's wearing colors that resemble oranges, pinks, yellows. She's quite large, standing at about 7'5", 7'6", and she's not dressed like she's supposed to be here at the ball. No, she's dressed like she maybe just came from one of the temples for the churches.
And for those of you who may not be familiar, a loxodon is basically a elephant that is also a person. So
Yes.
This is a big individual with big ears and a big trunk, big feet. And what you were hearing was the crashing of some doors opening and the simple walking of these very delicate large feet of this particular loxodon. So they enter and look around and
Is it just the one person?
mm-hmm.
Nobody else.
But they
Doesn't
look-
seem to be like the others.
I was gonna say, did they look confused about the situation, or like
They look purposeful.
She starts going down, walking through the crowds.
let's just keep our eye
You
on this one for a minute, Darian?
Agreed.
They seem to be walking through the crowd and like eyeing everybody.
She's definitely looking around at each person, looking more and more concerned as she keeps walking through the crowds of people to see
Okay.
that more and more people seem to be almost in a trance with how out of it they look.
Not all of them, but a good number of them.
Okay.
And like I said, there's a smell also. There's the smell of smoke. There's a smell of burning exotic woods. There's the smell of incense. There's the smell of roasting meats of some unusual exotic things. But there's also that smell of sweat of people who've maybe been active for quite a while.
Okay.
Possibly even days from the sense of this smell.
She's gonna look for people who seem the most out of it then.
You see a woman kind of just staring at you with a big smile on her face, eyeing you up and down. She is wearing nothing more than jewels glued on her body and very covering up everything that should be covered up. And she has a large jeweled mask with feathers coming out of the top, very long, colorful feathers. And the mask is just all sorts of sparkly jewels.
Oh,
How tall
really?
is she?
Probably about 6'5". But then again,
Okay.
she's wearing shoes that have very high heels.
I'll approach her, just stomp on up, and go, "Milady, are you all right?"
Oh, aren't you a vision?
I appreciate that.
I'm wonderful.
Oh, I can quite tell. I think I'm
How
gonna.
about you? You look like you could use a drink. Can
You
I
know,
join you?
Maybe I will when I'm off duty. I'll think about that. How about
Come find
may I give you some healing, ma'am?
me. If that's what you want to call it, I would love it. Red, please.
Okay. Then I'm going to.
They have some nice
go ahead.
vintages of healing, I hear.
I'm gonna touch her arm, and I'm
Did you get
going
her?
to remove either a poison or a disease from her.
She gets this confused look on her face, kind of staggers a little bit, and then looks at you and goes, "Ah, shit. What'd you go and do that for?"
Are you all right? What were you under the effects
I
of?
was great. It took me
Okay.
days to get to that stage.
I apologize if
gotta
that was some form of meditation for you. Okay. Well, I just wanted to ask you some questions, if that's all right with you.
Questions at a
Oh.
party?
Am I in
That's
earshot
what you
since
do
I'm
at a
just
party.
in talking to her?
I'm going to say the two of you were keeping an eye on this elephant person.
Okay.
You were hands on a few moments ago, so I'll say yes.
That's kind of what you do at a party is kind of mingle, right? So let's just mingle a little bit here. Uh,
It's
where
easier
are
to
you from?
mingle when you're here at the moment.
Start
I've been
easy.
living here for about a couple months.
Couple months.
Yeah.
All right. Are you good friends with the Duke then?
I've known Dookie for a while.
Dookie.
Dookie's
That's
known
great. I
me
love
for a
that name.
while.
I'm gonna have to use that. All right. Dookie. All right. And where's he keeping himself these days? Where, if I were to want to go
Oh,
speak with him?
Dookie gets around. He likes to meet and mingle.
Perfect. That's what I was hoping for. I'd love to speak with him today. All right. Well,
Oh, wait till he
I
gets a load of you. I would recommend don't heal him. That he'll hate that. It's his party.
any chance you've seen a prince around here somewhere hanging out?
There was a little guy with pointy ears not too long ago. He was kind of princely. He
I'll
touched
look
me
into
kind
it.
of like you did.
Well, you have a pleasant evening.
Yeah, it was a lot better about 5 minutes ago, but whatever.
I'll buy here. I'm gonna give her a couple pieces of gold just so she can, or just a piece of gold so she can get something else somewhere.
She looks at it and then looks at herself and is like, I knew this costume
You'll
would have
figure-
problems. And then just
you'll find a
strolls
place.
off in the direction of the tables with food and drink.
She just kind of stands there, looks around for more people.
You see a number of people kind of stepping back, kind of going, yeah, no.
She kind of sees that and just nods, scratches the top of her head with her trunk, and begins walking around some more.
A short man walks up to you, Eleanor, going a little bald in the front, big tufts of curly hair, and a beard with no mustache that is very curly and kind of looks like it hasn't been kept nicely, and little beady eyes that are a little close together, bushy eyebrows, dressed in a brown suit, and says, "Forgive me. I understand you're looking for the Duke. Can I ask why?"
You know, I'm here at his party, and I just wanted to talk for a little bit, get to know the host. You know, it's rude not to introduce yourself to the host. That's how I've been brought up.
Well then, with that in mind, let me introduce myself. I am a Mr. Griswold.
Mr.
Offers up
Griswold,
his
nice to
hand.
meet you.
Your big hand kind of encapsulates all of his, and he just kind of looks at it and looks at his hands like, wow. Okay.
Would you prefer the trunk? I could shake with the trunk, but some people think it's weird, so I usually do hand.
I'm fine now, but I will keep that in mind. Thank you.
A large
course.
chunk like that makes some males feel insignificant.
Griswold says, you may find the Duke rather distasteful. Not an upstanding individual, if you know what I mean.
I understand completely. What is your take on him?
He's a thief and a person with no taste for art.
All right, good to know. Dookie has no taste in art.
Dookie?
That's what I heard someone else call him earlier. I thought it might be a way to get into conversation with him. Do you think I should leave with Duke or Dookie?
No, I think Dookie is perfect.
That's what I was thinking too. All right, cool. Is there anything else you'd like me to... Oh, where are my manners? My name is Eleanor Defont.
Very nice to meet you, Miss Eleanor. I wish you all the best, but please call me Rufus. Perhaps we'll meet
Rufus.
again. I'll be here. Not
I'll
a lot
enjoy
of
that.
people
Thank you,
I've
Rufus.
been conversing with, but a lot of Philistines here. So the two of you, have you just been kind of gathering around listening, or have you been taking all this in, or have you been doing anything else?
Mostly just listening, because obviously somebody who comes in that's almost 8 feet tall with a trunk would certainly garner some attention, especially considering that she sounds like a cop. And in my profession, that sometimes could be problematic. I'm not so sure about Victor, since I don't know Victor as well as I would like to.
Were we in the middle of the room, Paul, or near the side?
I figure you're a little further forward than you were maybe by the horse statue.
Victor was also just listening in. And I think as he heard Rufus describing the Duke to Eleanor. I think might see that as an in to go over and introduce himself.
You see him standing there just kind of looking at this Loxodon. All of you notice once again that when the bell chimes, the music comes to a screeching halt and everyone seems to freeze and just look up at the clock. Eleanor, after you walked in and came in, when you looked around, as you walked into the left, way up high was this huge, enormous black clock. And it had this huge swinging pendulum that on its full swing comes just shy of the doors that you came through. And it swings back and forth slowly and just clicking off. And if you were to walk in and walk to the right, you could very well be significantly hurt.
How often is it chiming, Paul?
Bit of a half hour seems to have gone by.
And what is the current time?
It's probably roughly 8:30ish.
I'm gonna look to Rufus real quick before he starts walking away. Just, Rufus, might I ask about this pendulum here? Is this supposed to be an art statement, or is this something else?
Dookie, as you so kindly put it, I believe acquired it somewhere on his travels.
It's a little
The
bit of a flex
pendulum is
piece.
part of
Okay.
it, as well as it's a source of entertainment for people not aware of it, from what I gather.
It's definitely a safety hazard. All right, thank you.
Victor, I'm going to look for Montresor. I believe he's the gentleman that we're going to meet. If you would like to make friends with the detective here.
Yes, let's go over and introduce ourselves.
Okay, I guess we shall.
Eleanor, as you see Rufus kind of walk off, looking over his shoulder periodically, you see two gentlemen coming towards you, one a little short, significantly shorter than the other, with that one has slightly pointy ears, and gentlemen, I'll let you describe yourselves as you come up upon and how you handle that.
Hello. And Rufus walked away, Paul?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
but you see him.
Hello.
You see him kind of like not too far away.
I overheard you. I don't mean to be rude. Discussing the Duke, was it? Or maybe Dookie? Maybe,
Yes.
maybe you're friendly with the Duke.
Yes, I've heard some of the other establishment here speaking of him in such a regard. Are you familiar with the Duke by chance?
I have not had the pleasure of meeting him yet, but I do intend on or hope to meet him this evening. Many questions for him about his plans here in the town and how he's been avoiding the plague and what his plans are. He's been growing this establishment, it is my understanding, for quite some time now. And I'd like to
What a
get more
coincidence.
insight.
Some interesting, familiar questions that we want to also both be asking him. My name is Eleanor DeFont.
Eleanor, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Victor.
Nice to meet
Vicarious
you.
Feely Day, but Victor's fine. And this is Darian.
And wonderful, Darian.
Eleanor, pleasure to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I'm a simple merchant here in town, and I've been told that he has quite a few wares that would interest me, and perhaps as a businessman, I might have some wares that might interest him. I'm looking for Montresor. I believe he's the representative of the Duke. Maybe it might help you, because obviously you're looking to meet somebody on the staff to include the Duke. Maybe Montresor
Yes.
can help us.
Yes, I'm looking for a missing person. So I have reason to believe that the Duke may know where this man is, and I'm hoping to resolve some of this today. But yes, if you are both willing to help out, I will greatly appreciate it. Maybe I can-
Eleanor, if I may ask, are you a legal authority?
I'm with the church.
Ah, church business, I see.
Which church?
The Church of Lathander.
Excellent.
Can you give us an elevator speech on Lathander?
I'll tell you this much before Eleanor does. Many of the people in this part of the world think of the Church of Lathander as the church.
We at the Church of Lathander, we believe in the Morning Lord and follow his teachings, and where there is death, there will always be new beginnings. All right.
This is
Well,
pure speculation, Eleanor, but in our conversations while we've been here such a short time, it appeared to us that it might not be uncommon that people go missing. Someone made a comment that they wanted me to be the guest of honor at the Mass, and it's been Darian and I's experience that that is typically not a good thing, if you know what I mean.
I see. All right, the Mass.
Detective douche. Reference
Sorry, what was
Lucifer.
that? I have really large ears. I can hear a lot when I want to.
I think he might
But I-
imbibe in the wine that he purveys.
Oh,
I-
of course, of course.
By the way, three of you seem to be the only people in the room without either a goblet or a plate in your hands.
We look out of place.
Well, I always look out of place, but we might as well try to fit it a little bit more. I'll just grab a goblet off of a tray that comes walking by. It's like a little shot glass.
I'll call out to someone walking by with a drink. Excuse me, could we get some drinks here?
And I asked for Montresor.
Oh, the young man says, certainly, sir. Saw him around somewhere. I will have to ask about to see if I can find him, but I haven't seen him for some time. He might be either in the cellars or talking to some people. I know he was expecting some people this evening, but I'll let you know if I see him. You'll see he has a mask with a lot of gold filigree. What was once a simple mask, but it has now a lot of gold filigree over top of it. And he has a hat that kind of big on top and then has little things sticking out the sides.
All right, I'll keep an eye on where this individual goes as he goes searching for Montresor. Victor, I'm going to pull off to the side of the hall, probably near a table with food, and so I can get a better vantage point on things. I'll let you know if I see anything unusual, but I'll stay within at least eye shot.
You see all sorts of tables with lots of bottles, many of them opened, casks that have been tapped, all with different wines.
Speak with animals. Do I see any, mice? That's why I purposely chose this area by the food.
Okay, give me a perception check, please.
Seems we had a similar
I
idea.
am not very observant today. But 8.
Okay.
Add 5, 13.
13? Okay. You do not see any mice or vermin of any kind here. You do see a black cat down the ways next to a table looking like it's pawing at a sausage that fell onto the ground.
I'll make my way towards
bending over,
that. Hey, buddy.
stops nibbling at the sausage, looks up, and says, "That's interesting.
Yes, I can hear you. How's your sausage?
A little spicier than I like, but it'll do."
All right, I'm going to get to the point because I don't have much time. What is your name?
Pluto is what the
Pluto.
humans around here call me.
You,
What is yours?
Bombay?
Not that I care.
I look at his eyes. Are they green or yellow?
Green?
Never mind. Can you tell me what's going on around here? These humans seem to be a little bit off.
Aren't humans usually a little bit off?
More so than usual, my friend.
So we're friends now. Interesting.
We're talking, aren't we?
True.
Well, if we're able to talk, I'd
before
like-
I eat them, though, that doesn't make us friends.
Well, you're certainly not on my menu, so you're safe.
I'd tear your eyes out, but it's okay.
Sounds like we could be friends. Is there
Really?
anything you could tell me that I would find unusual about this crowd besides the fact that they're humans? I know you don't think highly of us. I get that, and I don't blame you.
They
But
smell
would there
funny.
be? Oh, I agree with that. But
They don't
is there
smell
anything?
like usual stinky humans. There's something else.
They've made a reference to the word mass. You've probably heard it. What happens in the mass?
Mass. You'll have to be a little more specific. I don't know what mass is.
Do the people line up in little rows and all look at a certain direction at a certain time of night?
A lot of them go downstairs late at night.
What happens downstairs?
I don't go down there. There's no food down there.
Is there a place where they have those nice bottles of that stuff that these people drink and then they act funny after they drink it?
There's one of those downstairs as well.
Can you describe how to get there?
Yes,
Can you please tell me?
I could.
Then tell me, please.
There is a large chicken on top of that table that it'll be really obvious if I climb up there. Would you grab that for me, please?
All right, our time is short. I promise I will get you the chicken. But I do need you to
Right
tell me
there within
quickly.
your reach.
Grab it, chicken.
Perfect. You want to head back through those hallways back there, and basically points to the easternmost wall, which is opposite the door that you came in. There is a hallway that goes out there, and he says, "It's back there that they all go. I am led to believe it's one of the sets of stairs."
One of the sets. But you don't go there.
No,
Why
The
not, my
kitchen's
friend?
up here.
Okay, food-based. Got it, Cat.
The cushions are up here.
All
The
right, we
milk
won't be able
is
to
up
talk
here.
much longer, but I can assure you I'll help you out if you can give me a hint or a clue. If you want something, I will help you. Just
Wow,
let me
it's good
know.
to know. You know, this is the way humans are supposed to treat cats. Perhaps you could
Oh,
spread the word.
I'll do my best. You know, humans are
Smart
kind of a
humans.
tough lot.
I know, but who's a pretty human? You are. You're a pretty human.
May I pet you from time to time? Do I have your permission?
At the moment, yes.
And I'll give him a nice pet, the kind behind the ears and right where the tail joins the back. I know kitty
Oh,
cats.
that's a good human. Keep it up, good human.
All right.
Ah,
Hey, we're making friends.
yes. Perhaps we could be friends if you keep that up.
All right. Do you mind if I carry you? And if you feel like you need to go, then you're more than welcome to go. But do you mind if I carry you through the crowd? And I'll be sure to feed you as long as you nip my right thumb.
Bring it down here. I'll bite your thumb.
No, I said nip, not bite. There is a difference, my friend.
Well, you're going to pick me up. You're going to bring my chicken along, right?
You got it.
Okay. Then we can go.
All right. And I head back towards Victor and Eleanor. And Victor, I've made a friend.
That's quite a trick you've got there. I watched
comes
that
in handy.
whole interaction.
You see the cat kind of nibbling and pulling at the chicken.
So if you haven't figured it out already, cats are definitely motivated by food. It's nothing special. Just cats like their food.
Something me and cats have in common.
You see the cat look at Eleanor and like look up and down and just kind of go,
She's okay, buddy.
Hmm.
I may not always agree with the church or the law, but at the end of the day, we have the same goals in mind.
It's an interesting time to be making pets, Darian. Was there some other motive that you had?
I find animals tend to know when danger comes. So pay attention to the animals and they can actually help you. Right, Eleanor?
I don't know. I don't really talk to animals. Why?
Darian is standing there with a cat in one hand and a roasted chicken that's being eaten by
Yep.
the cat in the other.
We can keep talking to people,
Yeah.
but I'm curious to get a better layout. And I'll say, Darian's not the only one with a trick up his sleeve. I will cast Call Familiar in the form of a sprite.
Do you have a particular way you would like to call this sprite?
Definitely would be doing it discreetly, or as discreetly as possible. I actually will move my hand around for the movement in my pocket, and as I complete the ritual, I will pull out the sprite in my hand, communicate with it to ask it to find if there is a basement in this building, or maybe what is up in the eaves where the metalwork was.
We'll say that you can step behind one of the pillars as you do this, and you have this sprite. What color do you think you'd want it to be?
It's actually a very dim red.
And it's standing in your hand and seems to be it seems to be made of red light.
Telepathically, I'll ask it to let me know if it can find a basement and what, if anything, is interesting up in the ceiling area. Stairs leading down, that sort of thing.
Sprite says, "As you wish, master. It will be my pleasure." And you see this, Eleanor, you see Victor step behind a column, and out the other side comes this bright red little something with wings and just kind of up into the smoke. And then you see Victor come out the other side of the exact same column.
She makes note of it in her head. She's not going to address it quite yet. She's going to probably keep an eye on that red flying dot.
What's the sprite doing?
They've disappeared into the smoke at this point.
Eleanor probably will try to look around for more people who look like they would be friends with the Duke. Very, like, high class, bougie, probably drinking some of the finer stuff. So they probably have more connections.
You see some interesting people. You see a older, thin man, probably in his 60s, probably his 70s, dressed like a barbarian with a small double-bladed axe that looks like it's carved from wood, but made to look like an axe, drinking from a goblet and looking a little out of place, as it were. He looks like someone's grandfather dressed to look like a circus strongman almost. You see a couple, a young man wearing a very nice black suit, formal black suit, with a woman who is covered head to toe in a costume that's just filled with opulence. It's not like she's trying to look like anything other than to look fabulous. It's a full mask, feathers, jewels, puffy sleeves, full ball gown sort of thing, gems and glittering little stones everywhere. And the two of them are talking. The gentleman's mask isn't really a mask. It looks like a large, dark navy blue blindfold, and there's two holes cut out of it that have been covered with a light navy blue silk.
I think she makes her rounds to each of those people and asks them about the same question. Just introduces herself and asks roughly, how
Who do you
long
go
have you
up
been
to
at this
first?
party? She'll go up to the barbarian, Grandpa.
Oh, hello. How are you?
Hello. Oh, I'm good, sir. How are you?
Oh, marvelous party, isn't it? Love the Duke's dues.
Definitely. Do you know the Duke personally?
Oh, yes. We're old friends, the Duke and I.
You don't say. Where, I've been wanting to introduce myself to him. Where might I find him at this hour?
Oh, at his parties, it's anyone's guess. There's a lot going on. Have you tried it? If you've visited any of the other rooms, that he might be in one of those. So wherever the action
Fair
is
enough.
usually where you'll find the Duke.
Do you know what he's dressed up as today?
He's changed costume a couple times over the past few days, I've noticed. I haven't seen him today, though.
The last time you saw him, what was he dressed as? Do you remember?
I think it was a codfish in a suit, if I'm not mistaken.
Codfish in a soup. Well, I thank you for your time, sir. Please enjoy your festivities.
You bet. I think the day before he was dressed as the Queen, if I'm not mistaken. Hope that helps.
Well, thank you so much. Yes, it does greatly.
Julius
Thank you.
Rodman, by the way. You are...
Julius. Eleanor Defont.
Very nice to meet you, Miss Defont. It's an absolute pleasure.
Pleasure's
I
mine.
noticed the armor and everything. You wouldn't happen to be an adventurer, are you?
Maybe here and there. Never too far. Don't stray too far from home.
Ah, my heyday, I was quite an adventurer myself.
Were you?
Yes, I opened up the Western Passages quite a bit. Before they started being more populated. Didn't have any of these nasty plagues back then, you know. But there were ferocious beasts out there. They were hell to fight. Holds up the axe. Always had to be prepared, don't you know?
Oh, I'm very much aware. How long have you been here at this party, would you say?
What month is it?
I say whatever month it is.
Oh, by Jove, I think it's been 3 months.
All right.
It started as a small party. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger, though.
Good party should get bigger. Am I right? All right. Have a good night. She's going to walk away and go to the next person.
While she's engaging in dialogue with the other guests, I'm spending my remaining 8 minutes with the cat, explaining my code to the cat so we can no longer communicate verbally. The cat and I can communicate with each other regarding up, down, left, right, danger or not.
The cat pretty much has his mouth in the chicken, and he looks at you and says, "Yeah, sure."
All right. Well, cats are smart. He knows what I'm doing.
Roll me a 20-sider, please.
You've got to kill him.
Oof.
The cat says, "That's an awful lot for handing me a chicken that was already there."
I promise I'll give you more.
We'll see. It depends how I feel. I'm still fine with biting your finger if you want, and the whole thing with your backside we'll deal with later.
Gotcha. All right. I'm going to have to grab some more food, meat on the way if we leave this room. I'll make sure to grab a little bit and stuff it in my bag.
It's about this time that you notice a little red light that seems to have wings kind of flutter around in a circle and come and just sit on Victor's shoulder.
Victor, I
Did you
see you
find
made your
anything? Yeah. I typically work by the rule of cats or dicks. I prefer dogs. And I'll ask the sprite, "Did you find anything interesting?"
The sprite says, "There's a lot going on here, my dear. Up top, behind that little black grating, there's a lot of fancy people."
Fancier than the
Oh,
people
yeah.
down here?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Very
and an
well
ugly one, you
dressed.
said?
And an incredibly ugly one, dressed in motley, but
Oh.
ugliest little son of a bitch I've ever seen.
And I know you've seen a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple
And
planes.
if you head back that way, and they head opposite the door you came in, there's some stairs that lead down to a number of different cellars and such.
Anything interesting in the cellars?
Wine.
Just oh,
Lots and lots and lots of wine.
excellent. You're always so helpful. I
Oh,
appreciate it. Would you like to stick around and explore the party, or would you like to just
I'm
go back
always
home?
happy to serve you, sir.
Oh, I think you've more than fulfilled any questions I had. So if you'd like to explore on your own, you're welcome. Or if you'd like to go back to your home,
There
you
were
can
some
jump in my
interesting
pocket.
foods over there. I think I might like to check those out.
Okay. Just be careful.
Even though I can't eat them and I'm not real, I still have that feeling that they'd be interesting.
Okay. Enjoy yourself.
I'm just going to
Don't get
stay
hurt.
away from that cat. That's I've never liked
Yeah.
cats.
Me either. They're dicks.
Bingo, sir. Never met a cat I actually liked, because most everyone I met has swatted at me.
Yeah. Rude. It's just rude.
I agree. Now, if you'll excuse me, I believe there's a moose bush with my name on it.
Ooh.
They flicker off. You see this little red light and Victor looking at each other. They seem to be very intensely staring at each other, and then the little red light with wings flutters off into the smoke again. So, Eleanor, anything else that you're looking to do? There's a gentleman kind of staring at you who has a sparkly mask that seems to have
he's staring at me?
stars and comets and everything.
If he's staring at me, I'm going straight to him.
Hello.
Hello there. Couldn't help
Sorry,
noticing you noticing me. Thought I might as well just introduce myself.
You are?
I am Eleanor Defont. What about you?
Oh, Hans Fall. Very nice to meet you.
Hans Fall, nice to meet you as well. So, how long have you been at this party here?
Wow, people actually use that line. I've been here for about a week or so.
About a week or so. Wonderful. I was wondering, you look like you're quite enjoying yourself. What kind of festivities have you been engaging in here?
I'm embarrassed to admit it. I've been in some of the other rooms.
All right, that's fine. You don't have to admit that if you don't wish to.
Thank you. Yes.
Of course.
I have to wonder.
Yes.
You're a rather big girl. Have you ever been in a balloon?
In a balloon? No, I can't say I have.
Would you like to try?
What does that entail, exactly being inside of a balloon?
Going up in the air?
Going up in the air? You know, I don't know if I'd want to try quite yet. Do you work with hot air balloons or the such?
I'm a balloonist, yes.
You're a balloonist. I see.
I've traveled all sorts of places.
Are you
You'd be
looking
amazed
to
at some of the
test
places
more,
I've gone. Well, with one of the trips I made, I found that a much larger balloon would probably be helpful in that trip if I were to go back. And I thought you might be the perfect person to come along to test the balloon.
You know, I'll write it down. I'll get back to you. What was your name again? Hans Falls?
Yeah, no S.
All right. No S?
Yes, I try to avoid falls.
Oh, so just Hans Fall.
Correct. I'm sorry, that was a ballooning joke.
No, I understood the apologies. I didn't laugh. I'll laugh right now. All right, that was great. All right, so
it's high school all over
Hans
again.
Fall.
I'm sorry.
Don't apologize, my friend. All right, I'll leave you to it. Have you seen the Duke around? Do you know what he's wearing today?
I saw him a couple days ago when he was dressed like a chicken.
Brilliant. All right, cool. Does he ever wear a costume again, or is he definitely like, no, costume once, throw it out?
I've never been in his closet, but he has a lot of costumes, which I think explains the masquerade balls.
I think it explains it as well. All right. You have a good evening.
Oh, thank you. I will. But if you ever rethink the ballooning, let me know. I'll be here.
You'll be here.
I
All right,
think
wonderful.
You could be
I have your name.
Do you like green cheese?
Well, I've had blue cheese. I can't say I've ever had green cheese.
Just wondering.
I have your name. I'll get back to
Thank you.
I walk away.
Okay.
Hans Fall, would your balloon expeditions involve going to 5,282 feet by chance?
stops and looks around and says, "Who might you be?
A wine merchant.
And what?
I buy and sell wines.
And what does a wine merchant know with those sort of distances?"
I've got quite a bit of experience in my business. Knowing distances would be good, considering the size of crowds, how much wine it would need in order to occupy such crowd with wine.
Hmm.
Things of the sort. Having to know distances to calculate
Wine would be
caravans.
interesting. I don't know that they would like wine, but they could.
Have you served the wine
Who
on your
doesn't like
balloon
wine?
flights?
I have had wine on my flights on occasion. I've never transported wine. That could be quite
Give me a card.
interesting,
Maybe
though.
we can work out a deal. I
Okay.
can ensure you can get some quality wines to bring on your balloon flights.
Do you ever have
I-
charcuterie boards on those flights?
Um, if I usually just make some sandwiches and such. It not a lot of space in the basket, which is why I was thinking about you because I have to make a much bigger basket.
And thicker.
I see. Yeah. Well, here's my question for you, because I've been hearing some debates around town. Would you say pizza is a charcuterie board? It's just debates I hear around.
I like the way she thinks.
You asked some interesting questions, Eleanor.
I try to
You're
keep them
intriguing
interesting.
too. You're quite intriguing.
I like that word. That's better than most words people use to describe me, so I appreciate that. I'm going to write that down on my affirmations board. All right.
Are you local to the area?
Oh, I'm neighboring to the area.
Well, you think about it. If you ever want to go for a ride in my balloon, you let me know, and we will make that happen.
I appreciate it.
No problem. It's been an absolute pleasure, Eleanor. You know, a charcuterie board on a balloon flight might be interesting.
Especially
And
with all
the wine as well, sir.
these
You
aristocrats.
call
I
me
was
the
just going to
idea
say,
woman.
maybe Darian, do you ever work as a sommelier? Maybe you could go up. Hans Fall here could make a killing with these aristocrats.
This place really could do well with a sommelier. It's
Sommelier.
yeah. Like I said, yeah.
Yeah, that word.
It's
Yeah.
accents, I suppose.
I have allergies, so it's a little tough sometimes. The wine has helped significantly.
Do you by chance know who the Montresor is? Because I'd really like to talk to him about business.
The clock chimes. It's in the middle of your conversation. The music comes to a screeching halt. Everyone kind of freezes and looks up at the clock. Hans just turns to you and says, "I'm sorry, were you saying something?"
Yes, I'm looking for the Montresor.
Oh, I'm
Mr.
afraid I don't know him. Is he into ballooning as well?
No, I don't believe he is, but he's in charge of the logistics of this operation, and him and I have business to discuss.
Ah, that's fascinating. And he turns and walks away.
Ellery, you might find this useful, because it seems to me
Sorry,
that
what was that?
the Montresor seems to be the key to this operation. This is the individual that I need to talk to regarding the business, in this case, the business of wine, that may sometimes run at odds with your profession. But regardless, I think we can work together on this.
Of course. Sounds good with me. I'll go up to the next people and ask about both the Duke and the Montresor.
It's a gentleman in a black suit with a plain white sadness mask.
Hello, sir. Why so blue?
Oh, have you been in that room too?
No,
Oh,
no, no.
forgive
I was
me.
just
He
talking about
puts
your
out
mask.
his hand
Okay,
and
yeah.
puts out his hand and says, "Roderick, very nice to meet you."
I shake with my hand. I'm Eleanor.
Ah, I'm sorry. You were looking for. And as he's saying this, Eleanor, give me a perception check, please.
It's not wonderful. It's gonna be 10.
What you notice of this individual is the little bit of their face you can see is exceedingly pale. The hair is black, thinning a little bit. They're exceptionally thin, a little on the tall side, not quite as tall as you. The suit maybe once was really, really nice, but is getting a little threadbare in like the elbows and such. Not to the point where anything's going to burst through, but in other words, this is not like a fresh suit that someone broke out for the party.
I know Loxodons heavily rely on scent as well. Do I just kind of like detect an air of like staying in the same clothes for long periods of time and sweating in them.
You do smell a little bit of sweat of like that, but the sweat has a little bit of a sickly sweetness to it.
I think I want to engage in my divine sense. This will allow me to know the location of any celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet.
No, you're not getting anything. When you cast it, there was the slightest blip, but it's almost like when you turn on an electronic and it doesn't focus on the right frequency right away. It gets a little something at something else. But then it gets the proper frequency and there's nothing.
Interesting. So, Roderick, you like the wine here? Do you work with the wine?
I don't work with the wine. I'm just a guest. I'm
No.
just enjoying it. But it's nice to meet someone who's here by themselves as well.
Yeah, well, I've been mingling around and I've been making some friends here, and I actually met a wine connoisseur who's looking for the Montresor. Have you seen the Montresor anywhere?
I met him before. A little snooty, actually. But yeah, just in passing. But I think that was a couple days ago.
Does he usually come to the parties, or is he
He's here
somewhere else? I'll have to keep on the lookout. Do you know his description?
A little shorter than me, a little wider than me. Dressed very nicely. Kind of a very prominent nose. Hair pulled back into a braid with a black ribbon around it. Seems to have this little handle he carries around with him. At least when I saw him.
Is he a little handle he's carrying around with him?
Yeah.
Is he human, dwarvish?
Human. So did you come by yourself?
I did indeed, yes.
My sister was supposed to join me, but she got sick, so we had to leave her at home.
Oh, how sick?
She just wasn't well, so I didn't want to come out of her room.
Well, I know some healing, so if you need some assistance, you can call me up at the church if you wish.
I might do that. That would be wonderful. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much.
No problem. Your name was Roderick. What was your last name so I can recognize it?
Oh, Usher.
Usher? Yes, I will. I'll be looking for your name, and I'll make sure I can get her some healing for you.
Oh, thank you. That would be very nice.
Well, thank you, Roderick. Have you seen the Duke at all?
If you find yourself lacking for conversation, please seek me out. I'll be here.
I will definitely do that. Any chance you've seen the Duke at all?
Not today. I understand he's going to be at some event later this evening, though.
Is that the Mass?
I think so.
I appreciate your time, Roderick. I'll make sure to come visit you again before the evening's up.
Oh, please do. It would be my pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
As they're wrapping up, Paul, Victor would be walking towards them because he sees that Eleanor's engaged and would quickly grab this gentleman, doesn't know his name yet. Say, excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir, boy. It's
very nice to meet you. My name is Victor.
Very nice to meet you, Roderick.
Good to meet you, Roderick. I heard some people, I overheard them speaking, and you seem, you're speaking with Eleanor, who I've become acquainted with
very nice
this
young
evening.
Lady.
Very nice. And I wondered if maybe you could help me. I heard them say that there may be another party of sorts here, maybe on the upper level. Do you have any information?
I wouldn't know anything about that, actually. I didn't know there were upper levels. Well, there are the rooms, but they're on this level.
What are the rooms on this level like?
Oh, if you go to the back and points to the hallway opposite the one you were in, go down, and before the stairs down, you will see a door to your right. That'll take you to the rooms.
Have you seen any stairs leading up or just down?
I have not, no.
And what are in the rooms to the right?
Oh, they're all different. Different sort of activities, I understand, in different rooms.
I see.
The Duke likes to offer all sorts of entertainment, as it were.
Does the Duke ever come and mingle in this area?
Oh, absolutely. Sometimes in the main room here, often in the other rooms I mentioned. From what I gather, he has something quite prominent to do with the masses in the evenings.
Well, thank you for your time. I'm sorry to have disturbed you.
Oh, no disturbance at all, sir. It's a pleasure to meet you. Would everyone give me a perception check, please?
It's a 14.
17.
And Darian?
Sorry, wait.
14 plus 5.
Darian and Victor, as you're talking, on the far side of the room by one of the pillars, you see a group of people speaking. Just apparently out, it seems like just from the crowd of people and the smoke and everything, you see a hooded figure walk up behind a woman, stick a hand on their shoulder. The woman doesn't seem to be aware at all. And then they just kind of slip back into the crowd and you don't see them again.
Was I able to see the mouth of the individual talking?
It seemed to be a face, looked like it was in pain and had kind of a sickly pallor.
One of my features is reading the lips. Was I able to determine what was being said?
The mouth did not move.
Oh, interesting.
And as the hand was released and the person slipped away, the woman just seemed to give a sigh and then shake her head and continue talking.
Victor, I don't know if you saw what I saw, but when that communication took place, he wasn't actually speaking.
I don't understand.
So, are you with us now, Eleanor?
Yeah, I'm hanging out here.
Okay.
Eleanor, you can tell, isn't used to parties because Eleanor walks up to you and goes, "So, what are we talking about?"
Yes, I picked up on that personality.
Yeah.
Quite the personality. Rather bullish. I share with the group then, now that it's all three of us together. Victor, I think you saw what I saw, but so that you guys know, he never actually spoke, as far as I could tell. Yeah, I don't
What were we
understand.
talking about? Some guy just didn't speak.
There was an individual in a cloak.
Mm-hmm.
I could see his mouth.
Oh.
He was communicating with the young lady who I guess just walked away, if I understand that correctly.
No, they're still
But his
talking
mouth-
there.
All right. I didn't see his mouth ever actually move. So I'm going to get at a different angle, if I could, to position to where I can see her mouth to tell if she's actually speaking back to the individual.
Sure.
Are we able to
I could also just
hear
go over
them?
there and talk to them if you want.
Let me do my thing first so I can prep you before
Sure.
you go.
You go first.
Give me one
So I'm gonna-
more perception check there, Darian, and we'll see how you do with your lip reading.
I was asking Darian if he heard what they said.
17 plus 5.
The woman, you can't see the mouth of the person she's speaking to, but the woman says, "I really, really love the green room. It just feels so nice and fresh and natural. I also like the other rooms."
I'm just going to keep watching while they're continuing to converse, because obviously
Okay.
something's taking place. So I need to keep observing this conversation.
Victor will just, interested in what's going on, maybe Eleanor follows, walks over. As he walks up, says, "Excuse me, madam. I couldn't help but notice your presence in this room. You have such poise. Are you, do you frequent this party? Have you been here long? I've just arrived myself, and I would love to know more about what goes on here."
Her eyes narrow a little bit. Give me a persuasion check, please.
14.
The eyes narrow a little bit and says, "Just arrived. You mean the last few days?"
Yes, it's a little hazy. There is a lot of
That's-
drink that we
that's
have
the
here.
Duke's party, after all. What were you asking? I'm sorry.
I was asking what your experience has been, but maybe more specifically, I've heard that there may be another party on the upper level, and I was wondering if you knew anything about that or how to get there.
I heard of some private parties, but I haven't been able to get an invitation yet.
So they're usually invite only.
Yeah. I haven't heard word of any of them either. I've heard some pretty interesting sounds, from...
As have I, and that's why I was aware of that there may be something going on up there, and just keeping my ears open.
Now, if you hear anything, let me know. And it's about this time that she reaches out and grabs your shoulder and stumbles a little bit. And says, "Oh, I'm sorry.
Are you okay?
Looks at her wine goblet and says, "Maybe I should slow down a little bit," and puts it down on a table.
Is
Maybe
the
we should
cloaked
have a
figure
seat.
still touching her?
The cloaked figure was gone shortly after they appeared.
Okay.
I'll help her sit.
Gotcha.
I'll help her over to a chair and help her sit. You should take
Thank you.
a rest. If
I'll
you
make
hear
my way to
anything
Ellen.
else, let me know as well.
I'm going to make my way to Eleanor.
Easy to do. She kind of stands out in the room, the elephant in the room.
Eleanor, I'm not sure what Victor is talking about. I didn't quite get the angle I wanted to see, presumably. But she had mentioned something about a favoritism toward a green room, and I couldn't pick up any more than that. Obviously, there's other rooms referenced by color,
Yeah.
but there is a green room that seems to hold some special charm.
I guess we could take a look in each of the rooms. I hear that the Duke goes into those every so often. Maybe we'll find your Montresher, my Duke, and get some Victor's party. I'm gonna go search for these rooms that everybody's talking about.
It was towards the
Everything
stairs
alive.
in the back, and there were some stairs leading
Okay.
down, and then to the right where the rooms were. And I don't think an
Cool.
hour's passed, Paul. I think I'll just quickly see if I can reach out to Ember, which is the name of my sprite,
Okay.
and ask if she noticed any way to get upstairs.
So you go down this hallway a little bit. There's a set of stairs going down in front of you. And there's a door to the right that is open when you try it. And it's a short hallway. And there's a door in front of you.
I'll go to the first closest door.
The only door, actually. You enter into this room, and what you see is this. It is a large room. At the center of the room is a large pool of clear, fresh-looking water. The floor is blue marble. There are 6 windows. They're the big white things you see, and they are stained glass. Each one is bits of different colors of blue. There are these huge stained glass windows, different bits of blue glass, and you can see behind them are braziers shining this blue light through there. There are a few people kind of milling about. There are some that have taken off their shoes and dipping their feet, sitting on the side with their feet in the water. Even though the braziers are outside the window, there's a bit of a cool feeling in this room. There are people who are drinking from the pool with goblets. It just has a bright feeling to it in here. It feels very different from the rest of from where you were. There is no smoke. There is a lack of smell in this room. Even though there are some people in there, most of them seem to have taken off a number of their clothes, and just some of them seem to be standing in that first little step in the water and just kind of rubbing the water on themselves. And as you come in, they look up and see you and don't really seem to notice otherwise.
Are there any doors in the room, Paul?
And as you hear the chimes, even in here, and once again in here, everyone just kind of stops and looks and seems to freeze for a few moments. The door is right over here.
Okay, and the door we came in is to the left.
Yes, exactly.
Hey, Paul, are those chimes happening every 15 minutes, or is it kind of
Every
feel
half hour,
off?
roughly. Every
Every half
roughly every
hour,
half
okay.
hour.
So it'd be 9:30 now.
Okay.
I look at the cat, my little Bombay buddy. Any clues coming off of him, or is he still calm?
Still eating his chicken.
I think Victor will maybe make his way to the other door. If it doesn't sound like there's anything else of interest other than the pool and the windows
Yeah,
in this
Okay.
room.
I'll follow you.
Hey, Victor, I noticed you had a little buddy.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything you can share with us?
She did some exploring, and there was some wine cellars in the basement, several of them, but not much else. And she did, as you've heard maybe me asking, there is another party on the upper level with maybe fancier people, one person who looks very out of place.
I would suggest that after we visit this party upstairs, then maybe we consider heading down to the basement area.
From what she told me, there were no people. It was very uninteresting, but I understand your love of wine.
Yes, absolutely. And I'd like to do that. But yeah, let's go ahead and look at this other party that you referred to.
Is the door unlocked, Paul?
We go through.
Yes, it is. And you go through, and there is a hallway going north to a set of similar doors up ahead.
Go through them.
I almost said search for traps, but
Oh, I just go through the doors.
This is a purple room. In it, there are 4 windows. There is a door over here. There are 2 installations in 2 corners. They look to be made of brass, and coming out of the top of them, The one in the lower right has a purple beam of light going up to a similar mechanism in the ceiling, and the other one has a red, seems to twinkle blue beam of light also going up to similar installations attached to the ceiling. And there are people standing around both of these things, putting their arms around each other and just kind of rocking back and forth and looking at it. And every now and then just putting their hands, like, not touching it, but like very close, and just kind of feeling it and closing their eyes as they do so. It's like they're caressing these beams of light.
Do these lights look
Thank you.
magical?
Yeah, as a matter of fact. Well, they don't look natural.
Is there
And
electricity
once again,
in this
there are
world?
4 stained glass windows, and the stained glass is purple. Each one next to an electrical outlet. No, there's you don't see any plugs
I'll
anywhere.
unplug it.
Any bets the next room might be red? We just left a blue room. This room is purple. There's a good chance if we continue going in this direction or adjacent that the next room could be red. I could be wrong. Were we looking for a particular room?
Could I just do a quick investigation of one of the lights?
Sure, go ahead. Investigation check.
All right. 14. No, 10. Sorry. I'm just going around the outer edge of it, just looking for anything interesting and maybe
Appear to
touching
be
it here and there.
brass-colored rivets.
Just feels like a regular structure, nothing.
It's a little modern for what you've seen most places, and you've never seen anything like this.
Just looks like your average crazy futuristic thing. I don't see anything special about it.
I think we could keep going.
If something's got his attention, I would follow
Roll me an
suit.
insight check then.
15 plus 5.
These things are not something that you are familiar with. They seem to be some sort of machine almost that's unlike anything you've ever seen before. It's not a natural piece of machinery. The people around it, though, and their attention to these weird lights that are coming up, give you a real kind of weird person kumbaya feel. They just seem a little couple steps away from drinking Kool-Aid sort of feel, as they're kind of, it's almost like they're kind of worshiping these little beams of light, wanting to caress but coming close, and just a real kind of peace, love, and Bobby Sherman vibe.
I think as Eleanor moves on to the next room, she just says a small prayer for them. Lathander.
Just roll me a 20-sider, please. No, just a 20-sider.
Okay, that's a 6. I open the door and I go through.
Enter into the next room, and it is a green room.
All right, I think this was what you were speaking of, Darian.
Was this a hallway we just came out of that was adjacent to the purple room that leads to the green room? Did I read?
Yes,
did I
but
see
it,
that?
it wound around. It took a couple of twists and turns before it got to it. Eleanor, give me a perception check, please.
Ooh, natural 20.
Whoa.
But my perception's -1. So take that as you will.
Still good. Eleanor, the room
Yes.
is green carpeting. The 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stained glass windows are all different shades of green. There is a large bearskin rug in the center. There are plants and flowers everywhere. They are hanging from trellises from the ceiling. They are hanging on the walls. There are potted plants on the floor. There is a feeling of freshness and life in this room. There are a lot of people. Some are just laying on the ground and rolling around and just kind of taking things in. You know what? With that roll, I'm going to let you know that what you initially thought was carpet is actual grass. It looks like grass. Plots of grass have been moved in here. But the thing that roll caught was, as you walked in first, across from you at the doors leading out, you saw a figure very tall leave the room. And they looked in your direction, and they had a face that was kind of grayish and almost looked like it was about to scream, with deep set eyes and kind of a grayish linen robe. This person was almost as tall as you, and probably just about your height. And as you were coming in, they were going out, and you just caught the side of their face as they went out and the doors shut.
Can I use my divine sense on that person?
Absolutely.
It says, until the end of my next turn, I can know the location of any celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet. Also, if something has been consecrated or desecrated.
That was definitely something. It didn't really fit into any of those exact titles, but it was
Okay.
of that magnitude that it's something bad. I can tell you, whatever it
Okay.
is, it's something exceptionally bad.
Something a paladin might want to destroy? Bad?
Something a paladin would definitely want to destroy. Bad. You gentlemen enter the room. It is a green room. It looks like it's filled with green carpeting. In the middle is a bearskin rug. There are plants everywhere. They are hanging from trellises on the ceiling, on the walls. There's bushes and flowering plants all around here. There are people in all stages of undress just rolling around on the carpet and with their faces like in potted plants. This room smells fresh. It smells natural. It smells vegetal. It smells like spring. And of course, the stained glass windows are all green.
I want to say, Eleanor, as soon as she walks in the room with you guys, you see her grab her great axe and charge to the next door.
Victor right behind her.
Okay.
Not sure what's going on, but
she's got the nose. Better follow her.
Okay. Eleanor, you go out the next door. It is open. It's shut, but it's unlocked. The hallway curves to the right.
I just keep going until I find this person.
It curves to the right. Then it curves to the left. Then it curves to the left. Comes to a dead end, but you see a door to your right.
I'm going to open it.
You walk into a room that is bright orange. There are tables all around, filled with all sorts of food. There are racks of wine. There are so many types of food that some you can't even recognize everywhere. And there are people just gorging themselves on this food. Once again, the stained glass windows, of which there are 5 of them in this room, are all orange. And you see no sign of your quarry, Eleanor.
I saw a figure. As soon as it saw me, it almost looked like it was going to scream, and it ran away. And I know for a fact it was something bad. Don't know if it was undead or fiend or what, but it was bad.
And even though I'm a wine merchant and I deal in this sort of thing, from what I'm seeing here, this is definitely a room dedicated to overconsumption, which is not always a good thing. Lack of balance. And I grab a little bit of meat while I'm saying that to make sure I've got enough for the cat.
Given Victor's background, I want to speculate that the rooms we've been through have all had a color and associated activity, it seems. There's only so many colors and maybe activities that could be happening in each of these rooms, and I'm referring to what some religions call sins. And I wonder if we hurry along, if we might find the end of this maze and who we're looking for.
Let's keep it going then.
Let's keep going. So yellow room is gluttony, would be my best guess.
Orange is where we are, but yeah.
Or orange.
I think you're dead on with gluttony. But yes, I think a yellow room may await. We'll see what Paul has in store.
What do we call green? That seemed to be an affinity with nature of some sort. Envy, yeah.
Sloth?
Possibly.
People were lying about.
Purple haze. And then what was blue?
Well, they were just hanging around. Yeah, but I don't know. They were taking their clothes off, so lust. I don't know.
We'll keep that in mind.
We could have investigated those rooms
we're not about
more.
to walk into something else.
Yeah. Where haven't we been?
Well, I do specialize in wine, so maybe we'll run into one of those rooms that I could pick something up. But I think we should probably keep moving forward.
You go out the other door, and once again, this pathway winds around, and you find yourself in front of another door. Yeah.
Detective brute force or Victor stealth?
Victor will just walk in.
I'll open it.
He's learning.
Let's try not to break any more doors.
You step into this room. The room is immaculately white. It is white marble. The stained glass is white. There is a white marble fountain with clear, sparkling water trickling down. And there are just some people kneeling around the fountain with their heads bowed.
Can I
Any
make a
reverend-
religion check to see if they might be worshiping any symbol in particular?
Roll me a religion check.
Listen. Ugh, that's not good. All right, 3 plus
Could be.
1.
Could
4.
be. I mean, you know Lathander, and Lathander likes,
I do know that much.
likes the light. So it's
As long as
always
it's not,
Could,
if it's anything
could
but
Victor-
Lathander, there's a problem.
could Victor help?
At this
Also
point,
with-
Victor could give their own check.
I think they were doing that in the blue room. 21.
At this point, it doesn't look so much like prayer as reflection. And they look deep. It could be meditation. It could be self-reflection. It does not necessarily look like prayer, though it might be, but you think it's probably something else.
As a secularist, I will do my own perception, looking around the room, see what I can figure out. Because Eleanor is obviously some sort of cleric of some kind. Perception 12 plus 5?
They're there. They're not genuflecting or saying anything. It could be looking for a moment of quiet and peace. It is very calming in this room.
And any indication from Kitty that everything's cool?
Kitty is just about finished with their chicken.
All
Just
right.
kind of gnawing away at the bones.
Time for meat. All right, I'll pick out another piece of meat out of the bag and have it up as we go.
This cat's gonna like turn into like a dragon or something. Like I don't know what's happening with the cat, but I'm just like, cat's still eating.
Hmm.
Either the cat is still eating, or the cat's gonna evolve.
These are Pokemon. Cat.
As you're talking to your compatriots here, some of the people kind of look up at you and just kind of stare at you.
Are we talking
Hello?
blank here?
Are you guys all right? What's going on here? What are we doing? What's the activity?
They just kind of shake their head and go back to what they were doing.
All right, so I could try asking them again in a different language, or we can just keep going. What do we
Let's
think?
keep going.
All right.
Keep going.
Okay. Once again, the hallway winds around, goes through all sorts of twists and turns before you come through to another door.
Hey, Paul.
Yes.
Any chance these hallways are on an incline and we're going up, or are they all pretty flat?
Give me an investigation check, please.
The same
Ooh.
question.
That's going to be a 17.
Some of them have gone up with a slight incline. One or two of
Okay.
them have also gone down a little bit.
Oh, okay. All right, we go through the doors.
Yep.
All right. I'm scared for this room. I've seen enough.
This room is violet. There are carpets and pillows and all sorts of very ornate rugs laying all over the floor. And amongst all of these are bodies amongst each other
Mhm.
in various stages of undress.
Eleanor's ears just go over her eyes and she keeps going to the door.
Is that Ron? Do I see Ron in the room?
Ron?
Ron?
The man who goes by two first names? Never mind.
Perchance, is there a Duke in here?
Or a dookie?
I
Or
don't think you
Dookie?
said it.
Anybody responds to the name Dookie?
You hear someone say, wrong room. And someone
Keeps
else
going.
says, he was here yesterday.
Well, since Eleanor can't see right now, I'll kindly help her way through the room to the next
Just
door.
walks through them. No,
Well,
they'll
thing is,
move.
you
They'll move.
Yeah, they'll move.
You know what?
they might be distracted.
Eleanor, give me a dexterity check, please.
Oh no!
Step on a trunk.
Okay. Please. Oh, God. That's going to be a 5.
Whew.
You see Eleanor's ears go over their eyes, take a step, trip over a couple people entangled, fall and roll, fall onto a couple other people. The legs kind of go all over some, and there is screaming everywhere. And you've even heard some bones breaking. There is
No pun intended.
masses of people who were all intertwined, having injuries that I don't even want to describe here, but a lot of crushing injuries as well.
While I'm falling on them, I'll just also heal them at the same time, like, if I'm touching them. So it's gonna be like sudden pain and sudden healing for them.
Okay.
They might like
Sorry,
that.
sorry.
Victor, you got to help me get her up.
Yep.
And
Okay,
Eleanor,
so
please follow us.
We'll say you've probably got 8 or 9 people who are injured. How many healings can you do?
So I have a pool of about, I've already used 5, about 20 hit points that I can heal people. So I'll just evenly disperse some of that to some of the people, the most injured.
Out of 8 or 9 people, I'm going to say that you probably would have to expend 12 hit points to heal
Okay.
all of them.
Again, Victor and I are going to have to escort her out into the next room so she doesn't have the same mishap as we step gingerly amongst the bodies.
She's like holding her amulet, just praying to Lathander like crazy.
As you leave, you hear a lot of heavy breathing and, oh my god.
Le Petite Martha.
Who let these people in?
When Eleanor crashes a party. At the next room, as you shut the door behind you, amongst a lot of very unhappy, partially dressed people, and a bunch of people who weren't injured but have the last thing you leave are looks of shock and awe on a bunch of people's faces. And kind of like holding pillows and cuddling them and rocking back and forth all of a sudden.
I've done my God's work today.
And once again, you go through a bunch of winding hallways and come to the next door.
Right on in.
This room is a little different from the other rooms. This room is black. The floor is black carpet. The walls are black paneling. There are black curtains everywhere. There is black furniture everywhere. The stained glass windows are a deep red, and there is no one in here. There is another set of doors, but I will tell you also this. Those chimes sounded louder than they have sounded yet, and they came from directly above you, like from a high point above you, but they just reverberated in this room.
So we're now 10 o'clock.
Does Victor get a sense for what this room might be used for by looking around at all the black and red stuff? Are there any symbols or anything that he sees? Books?
Give me an investigation check, please.
Whoa, it shouldn't have been 2. Sorry, take the first one. It was a 9 plus 4. That's fair.
You don't think the purpose is some form of utility, but above that, you have no idea.
Do we see another door?
Yes.
Should we keep going?
Say it's worth a shot.
Maybe we go a little bit slower this time. Sounds like we're getting close to something. Do we want to do it sneakily? I'll open the door and peek.
Let's do it.
Do we want to...
After some moving around and finding your way, you find yourself back in the original chamber.
When you say, was it very dark in there, Paul?
It had a red glow, but everything was black. When you open up the door, the hallway is lit with little lanterns on the wall like the other ones.
So was anything preventing us from seeing?
Whereas like the green room had a fresh feeling of spring, the white room had this very calming feel to it. This room made all of you uncomfortable. It felt like the room was closing in. It wasn't moving or anything like that, but you felt, if you've ever thought about claustrophobia, this is probably what it felt like, and none of you are claustrophobic.
Now, when you say that we're in the back to the original room, are you talking about the Great Hall with everybody partying?
Yeah.
Right.
Unless you guys have other ideas, I think we're at the point where we could probably follow my friend's suggestion and go in the direction of going down.
We can definitely try that. I think you guys are definitely onto something with each of those rooms representing a sin there. And I feel like we've got white was probably the pride one since they are staring at their reflections. I think we can match a term for each one, so I'm wondering if that leaves envy for the blue room.
Darian, roll me a 20-sider, please.
All right, looks like a 16 plus a 5, 21.
The cat struggles a little bit, but you keep it in your arm.
I look at Kitty face to face to see if he can give me any kind of a clue as to what's going on.
Just kind of tilts its head and looks at you.
I'll let him down.
Looks up at you, turns around, walks away from you, and starts heading towards the tables again.
I'll let him go for now. Before he goes, I whisper, just let us come find us if you need us.
We explored each of those rooms. We know what each one has in them now. We know somebody ran through those rooms that is not a person. Yeah, if you guys want to go look at the basement, might as well.
How far up is that metal grating that you pointed out earlier, Paul?
Probably about 30 feet. I mean, this is a cathedral-style room.
Yeah, we can go downstairs. I could get up there if I wanted to.
Everyone give me a perception check again, please.
13 plus 5.
17.
18.
Oh, very good.
5.
Okay.
Where'd that cat go?
Darian, you notice a couple of men looking at you and kind of seeming to take you in. One seems to be dressed. It's kind of like they're dressed for carnival, but it's in a style that's almost reminiscent of a pope. But there's something about frivolity and excess in the way they're dressed, with jewels and different kind of gold and silver. And they're speaking to another person who is dressed a little bit more like in traditional vestments without any sign of a particular deity, but have a mask that doesn't quite match. It's a mask that looks suggestive without being obvious. There's something garish about this mask. You just see it and you're like, oh, that doesn't fit, but you can't really put your finger on why.
So clearly a different level of subtlety here. I motion towards Eleanor and Victor to follow me, and I go straight to these individuals. As I'm going towards them, I try to look if I can see any lips moving.
Roll me a 20-sider, please. Eleanor, as the two of them were speaking, you were taking in things around you. You looked up, and when you kind of followed Victor's gaze up to that black, it looks like black lace surrounding the top portion of this room, like above where the pillars stop. There's like a bit of marble and then this what looks like black lace, but it doesn't move like lace. And there's a lot of smoke up there. Every now and then you would see a shadow move behind there. When you look up, in one corner of it, you see a tall, slim, shrouded figure that you feel like it's staring down at you. You can't make it out through this lace, but you can feel its eyes on you.
Victor,
Yes.
Did your little red flying friend say anything about the black lace-looking thing up there?
She was able to fly up, and there was another room up there, and that's where the party was. There was a group of people who looked much more well-to-do than the people on the first floor, and there was also one ugly person, very ugly person she described them.
I'm definitely getting the feeling that somebody up there is staring at me right now.
As you look
And I'm
back up,
wondering
you don't see it anymore. You don't
It's
see
gone
what
now,
you
but-
saw.
I swear
my
I
real-
saw.
Have I noticed anything along our travels that would have indicated that there was another way up to this upper level?
Well, in the paths that you took between the rooms, no, that those paths are very focused solely on chaos, because the winding and turning seems very unnecessary. But the other parts that you saw before you got into that series is very similar to some ancient large like cathedrals and castles, where there's a lot going on. There's a lot of passages to different areas. So it looks like a network of hallways and such. But
In my
you also
experience-
get the idea that the party is kind of confined to the areas where you've been.
Maybe we
Everyone
need to go
give
down.
me
to
a perception check again, please.
4.
Ooh, 3.
+1 and 8.
How many more doors have been left unchecked? There's the basement door, and was there another one?
When you went to the door that went into the hallway that led to the blue room, you saw a hallway leading down.
But that was the only other pathway we haven't taken yet. Okay.
Correct.
I suggest we go do that stairway down to the basement. Take a look around there.
You go down to that hallway. You see a couple people in front of you, kind of laughing and talking. And they make a turn as if heading to the blue room. Victor, on the way to the back here, you're not 100% sure. You get the feeling like there might be less people in this great hall than there were previously when you previously here.
I'll just grab the closest person and say, "Where is everybody going? I notice people are missing."
It's a man wearing a gold mask, dressed nicely but not expensively. It's a simple mask, and he says, I haven't noticed anybody go anywhere. I'm kind of new here today, so forgive me."
I am as well.
Your
so
name's
no
not
need to
Montresor,
apologize.
is it?
It is not. We're actually looking for someone by that same name, or at least my
could I
friend
come
here
with
is.
you?
What's your business with Montresor?
I have business with him, wine business, as a matter of fact. That's why I came to that, why I was invited.
You do. And is Darian near us?
No, because you kind of were going.
Absolutely. One of my companions is also in the wine industry and is looking for Montresor.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
maybe
we could do business as well.
Maybe. Follow me.
Pleased to meet you. My name is Lucchese.
Lucchese, nice to meet you. I am Victor.
Very nice to meet you, Victor. Let's meet your friend.
Insight check.
While we're walking, Eleanor's going to be looking around to see if Rufus, Roderick, Hans, to make sure like all the people she's talked to are still around.
All of you give me an investigation check, then, please. Darren, were you looking for something in particular? Oh, no! Doesn't matter.
21.
Mine's a 3.
21.
21. Your insight check is that this person is genuine. You get the feeling they're kind of innocent in this particular circumstance, in the fact that they feel kind of out of place here. They're just excited to find someone who seemed to give them the time of day and not to poo-poo them. Because we've all met somebody like that at a party who just felt out of place. They were just happy to have someone nice to them. That's the impression you get.
What was the name again, Paul?
Lucchese.
All right. The only place we haven't checked yet is the basement area.
I follow
Have
you.
I caught up yet?
Yeah. We'll say you're caught up.
Okay. Good news,
like
bad
that.
news, guys. It looked like there were less people upstairs. That's the bad news. The good news is I met this gentleman, Lucchese, here, also in the wine business, Darian, and looking for the same gentleman that you are, the Montresor.
Greetings. Lucchese, we've already checked upstairs and we haven't found him anywhere. So we're going to now head
didn't either.
downstairs.
I'm Lucchese. You are.
I'm Darian Goldspire. Pleased to meet you.
Very nice to meet you.
I'm also in the wine business, and I am also looking for Montresor. And
Are you
I
looking
believe-
for the collection also to see what's up for trade or sale?
Absolutely.
Well met. You seem a nice enough person. I didn't realize there was going to be competition for these deals. But
I'm sure we can always work things out amongst each other.
Oh, good. Because I came a long way here, and it wasn't an easy journey. Where are we going now?
Downstairs.
Basement.
The stairs lead down. Victor, you hear a couple things. As you were catching up to your friends, you were walking to the back. Above you, you heard a voice say, "Oh, look at them walk! Look at them walk! Aren't they silly? This'll be fun." And you pass through, and as you start going down the stairs, up ahead, you hear other footfalls in the distance also going down the stairs.
Did you guys hear that? There's a voice behind us, up above.
Ears get big.
You're way ahead of you.
Those come in handy. Did you? There's someone laughing at us and watching us. I get the feeling someone's keeping an eye on us as we move around.
We're being toyed with, aren't we?
I believe it. Let's keep looking.
The stairs down go a long way. You are going down and down and down. It is getting a little cold. You come to a landing, and you can go three ways. There are three ways you can go. And at that landing, there are two people speaking. There is a man and a woman. The woman is dressed very nicely in a beautiful dress, a beautiful mask that just looks finely worked, and a white wig of curls and pearls. And she's holding her mask, and she's, laughing at what the man's saying. The man is dressed very nicely in a black waistcoat, matching pants, very nice shoes that look very expensive, a golden mask that kind of comes to a little almost triangle pyramid in the front from the nose down, and a hat that kind of is tall on the top and comes out the sides. Victor, as you're headed down the stairs, you hear him say, "I could show you the wine." And then you come down and you interrupt as he's bringing her hand up to his lips.
Good evening. How are the two of you this evening?
She says, "Oh, we're fine." And he says, We're fine. You are..."
I am Victor. I am a friend of the Duke, and I have seemed to have got turned around. Yes. And I was with the rest of the other party. I don't remember seeing you up there, but I got turned around, and I'm looking to find my way back up there. Could you help me, please?
Give me a persuasion or deception check, please.
I'm gonna stand next to him as if I'm like his escort bodyguard.
The woman seems definitely taken aback. The gentleman seems very looking at both of you, and I'm assuming because you're so big that you're probably blocking Darian.
Perhaps.
And I'll take advantage of my stealth ability and kind of not be noticed.
19.
19? What did you say your full name was?
My full name is Vicarious Feely Day, but I usually just go by Victor for most people. It's a mouthful.
Well, Victor, you've caught me at a disadvantage. I am Montresor. Montresor, I don't think I've ever met you before, and I've been with the Duke for years. But then again, these parties, lots of people show up that I don't know.
Yes, it's been quite some time since we've been in each other's company, and so I'm not surprised. So I apologize if I gave you.
No apology necessary. What can I do for you? What were you looking?
I was looking to get back with the group I was with earlier. You may be familiar. It was on the upper level, and there was a group of people.
Oh, you're with them.
Yes. And I have been turned around somehow, and I can't seem to find my way back.
I can show you, Miss. And as he turns to the female, you hear from behind you, Montresor. It is I, Lucchese. I believe you're expecting me. And he kind of pushes his way to the front, and Montresor looks at him, looks at you.
I'm so sorry. He latched onto me as I was upstairs, and
no. I was expecting him. I've been actually looking for him for a little while. There was another who was supposed to join us. I haven't been able to find him either, so I've just been enjoying the party. Lucchese, my friend, yes, you are well met. Why don't you go upstairs, meet me at the tables, look for the bottles with the fleur-de-lis on them. And I don't just mean one, I mean a band of fleur-de-lis. Should be in the back between the casks. They're quite nice. even for this party, there's some of the better bottles. Go up, pour yourself one. I will be up in a minute. Let me take care of this, and then I will take you down to the cellars after I've taken him to meet his friends. How does that sound? Lucchese says, oh, absolutely, I will be happy to, sir, just as long as you don't forget me. Oh, I couldn't. I understand what you're here for, and that benefits everybody. And Lucchese says, shakes his hand with two hands and says, I look forward to meeting you again, and turns around and walks up the stairs. So, sir, one more second and then I will be with you. And he turns to the young lady and says, my dear, unfortunately business calls. Oh, it's okay, it's okay. Will you be at Mass this evening? Oh, I will. You know I will. And he says, well then, perhaps you will save me a place. Well, if you insist, I will be more than happy to. Well, then I will see you there. And he takes her hand and brings it up and kisses her hand. And she just goes, oh, and turns and goes down the left-hand set of stairs and says, Victor, it was Victor, was it not?
Yes.
Come with me.
Absolutely. I heard you mention the Mass. I only recently arrived, and I've not yet had a chance to attend. I've heard stories. Is there one tonight?
Yes, absolutely, at midnight, and you will be more than welcome. It's down these stairs behind me, and but it'll start at midnight. So if you go down there, you can find a place. There are robes and everything in one of the antechambers at the bottom of the stairs. And matter of fact, if I take you now, you'll have just enough time to get to the Mass.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
You can let your party know you are here, and probably most of them will be going to the Mass as well, so it shouldn't be a problem. Or you could meet them at the Mass. It's your choice.
Could my escort accompany me now?
I have no problem with that. It'll be up to. I mean, are they familiar with your party? Is your party familiar with them?
I'm sorry. I don't think I understand. My party? The party upstairs?
To meet? Yes.
Yes. Oh, yes. I'm sorry. I thought you were referring to another group of people. Yes, they are familiar.
Well, then there should be no problem. If you come with me, I'll lead you to where you go. And as you can see, I'm pulled in a million directions. I do have to get back.
It's 10:30.
While he's distracted by the chimes, I'm going to put my hand on Victor's shoulder, and if he is willing, I'm going to give him protection from evil and good. You will have creatures that are aberrations, celestials, elementals, fae, fiends, and undead will have disadvantage on attack rolls against you. You also can't be charmed, frightened, or possessed by them.
Darian.
So he made reference to a left stairwell heading down to the Mass area, the midnight Mass. Was there another stairwell that I can see other than the one going to the left?
There's one going to the right and one directly behind him.
I need to not tip my hand just yet. So I will make my way with Lucchese back upstairs. I whisper to Vic.
While they're talking, you follow Lucchese upstairs again?
Yes, but try not to be seen just yet.
Lucchese turns a corner in the stairs as he's going and says, oh, well met. Seems that we're in luck, and we'll be able to see what's available. Come with me. He told me about a very nice bottle that we can share.
The Montressor does not realize I'm there yet, so I go with Lucchese.
So you're upstairs. Victor and Eleanor, you're having this conversation with Montressor. Darian has gone. A little while later, you're finished. He takes you back up the stairs the way you came, takes you through a down a hallway that you didn't realize was previously there. It's a kind of an optical illusion. With it seems like there's nothing there, but once you continue on, you realize that it turns down a hallway with a number of doors and hallways, and through one of them is a set of stairs that goes up and winds around. He takes you to the top of the stairs, opens up a door, motions for you to go down to the left, and says, see those gentlemen at the end of the hallway? That's the door you want.
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Wish you the best of luck finding your friends, and I will see you at Mass.
Absolutely. See you at Mass.
But as you can see, I'm quite the busy bee, if you'll excuse me.
Yes. Thank you.
Very good. Have a wonderful evening. See you at Mass. And he shuts the door, and you're in this hallway, and at the end are two very large men with very large swords
Before we
standing
get
on either
there,
side of a door.
I'll look at Eleanor and say, we haven't really had a chance to discuss your intentions, but I assume you're not a fan of this Duke.
I merely have questions for him. It's the prince I'm looking for.
Okay.
From my country.
I'm not sure how this is going to go. I'm not really a fan of the Dukes, but I'm really just trying to get information at this point myself. So.
All right, well,
Okay.
We'll do the best we can here and get information for both of us.
Let's go.
This has taken a little bit of time from going down all these long stairs and the conversations and then coming back up and everything. And just before you go,
11.
and as you start heading down from somewhere, you hear a voice that's a little louder now, but it's still obviously on the other side of that door. Go, ah, the bells, 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 always the bells. And then you reach the end of the hallway, and these two very large figures turn and look at you.
I'll just continue walking to the door like I belong there.
Okay, you walk a little further, and a sword comes up, just not at you, but just blocking your way, because they're on either side of this big door.
I stand next to him.
Would you let us pass, please? Do you not remember us?
Give me a persuasion check, please.
11.
You hear, no.
The Duke will not be pleased if I am not in that room in the next 10 minutes. You must let me pass. I insist. I don't think you want the wrath of the Duke on you. Do you?
I don't care about the Duke, young man.
You don't care about the Duke? Who do you care about?
That is my business and my business alone. So I suggest you turn
Are
your
these-
little self around and your friend of Lathander, if I'm not mistaken, and look for your Duke somewhere else. He is not here.
I didn't say he was my Duke. I said the Duke.
Well, whatever your business is with him, because he has all sorts of fans and detractors, and I don't care which you are. You just can't go in here.
Why can't I go back in there?
You seem to think this is a dialogue, sir. You are mistaken.
Montresor escorted us up here to be let in.
I don't care about the Montresor either.
All right, who is it you answer to then?
That is my business. And my patron's business.
I will do Divine Sense again. See what's going on here. Any celestial fiends or undead within 60 feet that I can see?
Nope.
All
You
right.
definitely can't see them, but you don't feel them either. The hallway continues on a little bit, so you know, past this person. And at the end of the hallway, there is a window. And the window and the hallway you came in, at the other end of the hallway, there was a window. Just letting you know, so you know exactly what you're dealing with. Other than the doorway you came in, there is a doorway at the other end, much like the one you came in. Other than that, it's just a hallway.
Are the windows to see in at the party where the Duke might be?
From the looks of them, they look like they might look out of the actual building, and they're dark. There's a little bit of moonlight that you see, but it looks like it might even be a tad foggier out there.
How badly do we want to get in here?
I'm thinking pretty badly.
But then again, if they were all going to go up downstairs in an hour anyway, would it really matter?
Why Victor and Eleanor kind of figure out what they want to do, I'm going to go to Darian. Darian, sir, you are at the table with Lucchese. He has opened up this very nice bottle of wine, poured both of you a goblet, hands it to you, and offers to cheers to fair dealings and the friendship of the business. Because everything about wine is good except for the people who are not.
All right, so I take the wine, and I do the swishy swishy, and then I sniff it. I go through the motions. I take the sip.
I've never heard someone being a fancy wine person go, I do the swishy swishy and the sniffing thing. So forgive me. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Sniff the wine because I am going to need to know what it smells like in case I get called out on it. Drink a little, swish it around in the mouth through the palate, spit it out into something nearby. I don't think anybody's going to give a crap up in this room. What do I
He
detect?
goes, "Oh, you are serious. I was
Oh,
enjoying
yes.
the party myself."
Well, don't let me hold you back.
Darren, give me a perception check, please.
Yeah, that's not too good.
So you're enjoying the wine. You two of you are talking, speaking a little bit about enjoying the party. Lucchese's telling you flew in here blind because no one told him it was necessarily going to be this big of a gathering. Although he should have known better, being that it was for the Duke. And eventually Montresor shows up and says, "Ah, Mr. Lucchese, and you are, sir."
I am Darian Goldspire. I'm here to inquire of the vintage that you were describing.
"I believe I don't have your name on my list. Are you affiliated with somebody else? Are you an agent of some other entity?"
Yes. The other person you were expecting couldn't make it, and I've been asked to stand in their stead. I also represent a wine house.
Okay. What's the name of your wine house, and who sent you?
Goldspire Wineries.
I'm going to ask you to give me a deception check, please.
All right, and I've also got persuasion +1.
Okay. If you would prefer to use persuasion, we can do that.
Well, I do have +1 on persuasion, and I don't believe I've got any bonuses for deception.
Then go ahead and use persuasion.
Not that my dice rolls seem to be helping very much.
Sometimes they go like that.
All right, so 9 + 1 = 10.
He goes, "Okay, that would be Fortunato's loss then. Well then, come along. I'll take you down to the cellars, you two." You notice that Lucchese's weaving a little bit.
Better for me.
You follow Montresor, and you start heading down the stairs. Make me a dexterity check there, Darian.
Now, that should not be an issue under normal circumstances. Under normal circumstances, I repeat. I rolled a 4, add a +4 for dexterity, so 8.
Starting to go down the stairs, you trip and start falling. Lucchese also has tripped. You get the feeling that maybe it was Lucchese tripping that caused you to trip. And you take 4 points of damage from the fall. It's a pretty extensive fall. Montresor has stepped to the side, and the two of you have passed.
So he just lets us fall.
Yes. You look up, and you see standing on the stairs, then turning and going back up and disappearing, the black cat. That's what tripped you up. Lucchese looks pretty in pretty bad shape, but he gets up and seems to have some blood coming out of his mouth a little bit. And Montresor goes, "Oh," hands him a handkerchief and goes, do clean that up, sir. You don't want to be bleeding nowadays. That's not a good thing." He continues to start taking you down the stairs. You go down, and as you're going, Montresor says, "Goldspire Winehouse. I'm not sure that I'm familiar with them. What's your specialty?"
My specialties are in sherries for like cooking and whatnot. Do cater to banquets and other events. I think one of my favorites is probably going to be the Barbadillo Versos from the Barbadillo family.
"Oh, an interesting choice. And Lucchese, how about you? What is your..." And Lucchese starts to talk at length about what he's doing. He takes you down. And when you come to that landing, he takes you to the stairs that go to the right. And you find yourself going down another series of stairs and says, "I hope neither of you are ill at all, because it's quite damp down here. There's a lot of nitre, and it gets very damp, and people with weak lungs don't seem to do well."
No, not at all. We're good.
Okay.
I mean, it is a wine cellar after all. And what do? I work with wine. So yeah, let's do this. Got to keep the corks wet and moist. Can't let them dry out.
So you come down, and finally, after going down a number of series of stairs, and it goes down quite a ways, it levels out, and you start going down these tunnels, and you start seeing like this white, almost like little stalactites and stalagmites. There's this white stuff on the sides of the walls, and you continue on, and he goes, "Up ahead, this'll do the job." He brings you into a room, and it's a pretty large cavern. The ceiling is about the same as the tunnel, a little bit higher. There are these chandeliers hanging down with these luminous lights that they don't look necessarily like fire. They look more like something that's glowing in orangish yellow, but it's not flickering like fire so much. And he says, here, and he says, this is one of our cellars. What we're looking to do isn't quite here, but I have something to take the cold away. And he goes and opens up a cask, and there's bottles that aren't full-size bottles. They're almost like, they're bigger than splits would be, but they're like small bottles. And they have corks with little wire bandings around them. And he takes 3 of them out and hands one to each of you and says, it's a Medoc, it'll keep us warm. And he undoes the wire cage on the top and pops in, starts to drink, and says, just what we need to take the cold away.
Did I hear the sound I'm supposed to hear when you uncork a bottle?
Yes.
Good.
It's not a huge pop, but it is that sound of, when the cork comes out. Lucchese takes it gladly and drinks of it, and he goes, follow me, we have much to go. Montresor takes it, and before he takes the second sip, he says, to good dealings. And he clicks bottles with Lucchese and then to you.
And good profits.
As well. And he clicks bottles with you, and they all take a draft. What do you do?
Take a light swig or a drink. Okay. Nothing too heavy.
The 2 of them continue to drink as they go, and you continue to go through the different tunnels. They winds around, and you go through a number of other chambers. These caverns and these tunnels are lined with racks of bottles. And off of these tunnels are other chambers filled with other racks. Some of them have large gated doors on them. Some of the entrances to the rooms have large gated doors. And it winds around significantly.
As I'm walking along, I'm of course going to start paying attention closely to anything that might indicate something valuable being locked up. And obviously the target that I'm looking for is going to have considerable protection.
She would like to cast Zone of Truth on the guards.
So you've cast your spell. The guard says, I repeat. I am not going to repeat it again. I am asking you to leave.
All I want to know, sir, is the prince and duke in there? And I'll leave you.
He starts to say something and then just looks at you.
Could I hear what he said?
He didn't say it. He started to and then cut himself off.
Can I insight to see if that's a yes or a no?
Absolutely. Roll me insight, please.
Let's see, +1. That's going to be a dirty 20.
You feel pretty sure that, and let's face it, you know what the answer is.
I'm going to tap Victor on the shoulder, and I'm going to cast Bless. And that's going to give Victor, it's going to give you can add a d4 to an attack roll or a saving throw. Just pull out my shield, and I'll be like, thanks, I'm going to break down your door now, and just run straight into the door and try to knock it down.
That's where I was going to start, but
go ahead and roll initiative on that, and I'm going to give Eleanor a free round.
Okay, 13 plus.
So go ahead and roll me a strength check with advantage, because this is a strong door, but against you, not so much.
Ooh, natural 20. It knows I have to leave, so it's going to make everything go well for me, right?
You burst through the door, it bursts open and splinters. Victor, what are you doing as you see put their head down and just use their head to smash open the door?
Yeah, I'm following. Yep.
So you enter into this area, this balcony, basically, that seems to surround the entire Great Hall. There is a metal screen at the edge of the balcony going all the way around. It's set up almost like bleachers, except there's sets of chairs, tables, and everything around. There's people in a lot of fancy dress. No masks, but at the one side, you see what's set up basically like a mini throne. And you see a gentleman standing there, very nice, little goatee, flowing salt and pepper hair, a little bit of a hawkish nose. But at his feet is an individual dressed in motley. Just their body doesn't seem to be made the way everyone else's is. It's lumpy and misshapen. and they have the big shoes that the ends are floppy. One eye is bigger than the other. Their nose is pushed up. Their ears don't match, and they've got patches of kind of auburn hair all over and really bad teeth. And it just starts giggling, going, oh, this is going to be good. Funny, funny, funny. Bells, 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 bells. It's the bells. And continues going on and just hopping up and down and going nuts. And everyone's kind of looking at you at this point. Victor is going to go first.
Can I look at Eleanor and say, do you see your prince?
Do I see him?
He's sitting in that throne.
There he is. And I just go straight to him. Like storming.
All right, I'll cast hypnotic pattern on that area. It's a 30-foot area, and it's a DC 16 wisdom save. The pattern appears for a moment and then vanishes. Each creature in the area sees the pattern, must make a wisdom saving throw. On a failed save, the creature becomes charmed for the duration. While charmed by the spell, the creature is incapacitated and has a speed of 0, so they can't do anything. The spell ends for an affected creature if it takes any damage or if someone else uses an action to shake them free.
As you charge over there, Eleanor, give me a dexterity check, please.
Ooh, okay. That's a dirty 20.
You make it over to him pretty quickly. Victor, you hear those guards coming behind you pretty quickly as you're charging in after them. And you've also noticed there are a number of armed people all around who are beginning to pull weapons. And there are like women's and men screaming all around. And this misshapen creature is just hopping up and down, laughing and clapping.
Okay, then I'll just start running towards her as well. So I cast it on that area, 30 feet. Anyone in there has to make a save, and then I'll start.
Okay. Eleanor, go ahead.
I
There.
run to that guy, and if I get to him, I'm gonna grapple him.
Give me a strength check, please, with advantage. Because you are about 4 times the size.
Is it my birthday? Oh my gosh, guys. Natural 20.
I have to go.
Yeah. We're like, let's go.
You get him up and like he's just helpless. Because it's like you holding a doll. Like there's a number of guards and they just have their weapons out. So you see a lot of people who seem to be kind of frozen, staring in that one singular direction. You have the prince in your arms. You've got the guards back by the door who have now stopped, seeing that you have him grappled and they have their weapons out. The two who...
So if they take damage, they'll come out of the stupor. If she's just holding them and not taking action to wake them up, they're still in their stupor.
Pretty much everyone but the 2 guards by the door are in their stupor. And the ones who are further down that side of the Great Hall. No one's going to do anything at this point because everyone's just kind of waiting to see what happens. The only person on the other side that's doing anything is this little misshapen person who's going, oh, what is the big corn-fed girl going to do with the prince? This is going to be good. Do tell. What are you going to do with our prince?
Divine sense. For the last chance I can use it. Is this thing evil?
This thing is not a fiend, is not evil. It's just a poor misshapen person who you get the feeling... You know what? Roll me an insight check real quick. And give me... You can even do it with advantage, we'll say.
That's gonna be insights. That's gonna be dirty 20.
You feel that this is just someone who's been mistreated, and from the style of their clothes, you get the feeling that they're probably the court jester.
I'm just gonna ignore it.
Oh, the big girl doesn't want to talk. No, this is gonna be good. Oh, yeah. Finally, Mr. Prince, you're gonna see what happens now when someone else is bigger than you and you can't do the mistreating of little hot frog anymore. No. Oh, please tell me what you're gonna do. You know, I bet you how you could squeeze him really tight and give him a hug. He likes hugs from the women. He likes a lot from the women. He does. He's a dirty little prince.
I'm out of there. I'm so gone. I've been walking, not even looking.
Okay. Hop Frog could help. Hopcar could help. I know the things he hates the most. And so as you go, Hop Frog's following behind you. Honestly, Prince, I'm just trying to help. I'm just here to help. And pretty much everyone kind of gives you a wide berth as you leave. Victor, what are you doing?
Most everyone's frozen. She's walking out with the prince. Hop Frog's behind them. The guards are coming, or where is she headed? Like, what am I seeing?
Well, I'm assuming out the door to that hallway.
No one's
Okay.
gonna hurt me if I'm holding the prince captive.
Right, and then
So I'm
And
like,
you're
I'm walking
like
out.
you're basically encapsulating the entire prince because he's a tiny guy compared to you.
And so I'm just following them out, got her back, making sure no one's
Okay.
coming at us.
I'm gonna
Both of you give me a perception check, please.
on my way out, I'm assuming Zone of Truth is still there. I'm just gonna be like, where was the Duke again?
They're all just kind of staring with their mouths open. And you hear the
Okay.
one say, we don't watch the Duke.
14
Okay,
on the
so-
perception check.
I was too busy taunting people.
Eleanor goes through those doors out into the hallway. You're following after. The last thing you do before you turn to go out the doors into the hallway is look out the grating. You see a tall, slim, robed figure, the shadow of which come through the doors that you entered into this whole party. Very slowly just glide in those front doors.
Oh my gosh.
And
the fiend
Eldritch
looking
Blast.
whatever.
my turn.
Okay.
Eldritch Blast?
2 of them. Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead, roll.
That's a 23 plus 8. All right. There's my attack. Way worse than on D&D Beyond. 10.
Doesn't seem to do anything.
All right. And then I get 2 of those. So one more. That is a 27.
It hits it, but it doesn't even flinch. And
So
now
no
that you're
damage.
looking, as you're focusing on it, you notice that as it's walking down the marble, it's leaving a trail of something behind it as it's
Okay.
kind of gliding down the marble.
Is it worth me re-rolling that first one with advantage since I think I have bless it, or did that just give me a
go
D4?
ahead. Go ahead.
Just a
Go
D4.
ahead.
Okay, so I'll add a D4 to it.
That's fine.
I'll add a D4 to both of them. So that first one was a 13, and the second one was a 30.
Okay, well, that second one hit. And also,
Okay.
from up at this vantage, since you focused on this thing and you notice the trail it's leading, you also have an angle that you can see that you couldn't see from down being at floor level. There appear to be people passed out all over, especially behind the columns, underneath tables. There seem to be people passed out everywhere. There's a lot of them. There's some leaning
bomb.
up against the platform where the band was playing. You notice the band seems to be draped over their instruments or laying on the platform.
Let's get out of here.
Yeah. I'm gonna guiding bolt that creature, and then I'm gonna just book it out
Okay,
of here.
well, you're in the hallway. You have to go down the stairs to get to that level, but you have no reason to know that is happening because you're out in the hallway with the guards and the prince. He's still in the balcony by the grating.
Oh, okay. Got it. I'm going. I'm still going.
Okay,
I'm
that's
leaving.
what I figured. That's why I figured.
He's like-
So this individual is in the Great Hall. You have the prince in your arms. If you were to do your divine sense, this thing is something really bad. You just can't pinpoint what it is. What would your focus be? Getting the prince out of there or attempting to go after this thing?
It would be getting the prince out. I might,
Well,
if
then-
it's coming at me, shoot a shot, but I'm running. I'm going.
I will say that, you know what? Just roll me a 20-sider.
He needs to stand trial. All right, that's a 16.
I am going to say that you get out without you can get out a back way and just run with the prince. Victor, you see Eleanor with her bundle run down the hallway and disappear down. And now that she's gone, you see a lot of these guards kind of getting their act together. They were all in there and you've followed her out. The door is shattered. They're all in there and you hear muttering, you hear the giggling and the laughing. You are alone in that hallway right now before anything is decided what they're doing.
Right. Yeah, I took my shots. They didn't seem impactful, and I turned tail and started running towards where she was headed, but she's probably locked me.
Roll me a dexterity check, please.
19.
You are down the stairs before they even come out into the hallway. You hear a lot of arguing. You hear a lot of confusion. You hear a lot of hysterical laughter, giggling, and phrases such as, "He's gonna get his! I hope he can get as good as he can give!" And things like that. And we'll say you make it down to the first floor. The ground floor, what do you do then?
Eleanor's gone. I don't see any sight.
You haven't seen her. She's...
Okay, then I'll make it back to the staircase where we were last with Darian and start heading that way. See if I can meet up with him.
So the three of you are going down through the different chambers and drinking your Medoc. The two of them finish pretty quickly. Montresor says, let's get another bottle. And grabs a couple more bottles, starts handing them out, and takes the empty ones, and takes your bottle and goes, "Sir, you insult me. You have not been drinking. I go and open up a bottle for you, and this is hardly touched."
Oh, no, you don't understand. I actually vet the wine that I'm drinking. I don't drink wine just to get drunk. I'm drinking for quality.
It's a Medoc. It's not going to get you drunk.
Again, I don't want to ruin my plate. I want to be able to enjoy the other wines that you present to us, because surely you've got better than this.
And he looks at you funny again. Once again, give me a persuasion check, please.
Okay, we've got a 10, and I think I've got a +1, so 11.
You go a little further. He says, "Forgive me, sir. I didn't realize your professionalism." And he pats you on the back and says, "Very good, sir. Very good." And we're almost at the cavern that has as the wines that you wish. So this way, a little bit further. Roll me one more 20-sider, please.
Much better. 18.
You notice Lucchese getting pretty woozy as he's weaving along, and you continue down a little bit further. You go into another room. Lucchese's not keeping up very well. Montressor's like, right this way. And you continue on. Comes to one of the entrances, one of the gated entrances, and says, "Here I will let you take a look. It's in this cavern here. All of the bottles and all of the racks are up for trade or purchase. Just take your time and go through there. Obviously no sampling, but a well-heeled person such as yourself should be well aware of what you're looking for and what you need. I have some work to do over here. I will take care of that, and I will allow you to take a look in the rooms there at the racks."
Okay, how far away is Lucchese?
He's catching up at this point, and he just kind of wanders in.
I'm looking for something in a wooden case, gold trim, and if I don't see a case that looks like that, then the bottle is going to be somewhat angular, not like a normal wine bottle. Okay. That's what I'm looking for.
So in the cavern, that's specifically what you're looking for?
Yes.
Give me a perception check, please.
All right, 10 plus 5, 15.
It's about this time that you notice and hear the barred gates pulled shut and a chain wrapped around them and a lock shut, and says, "Really, sir? Sherry for cooking?" And he goes over and takes something that looked like dirt and undoes a stack of bricks and a little bit of what looks like mortar, and starts stacking bricks up and putting mortar over top of them, and starts just slowly doing that, and says, "Did you really think that I was going to fall for that? You don't know wine from sherry." And he continues to use the trowel, and at this point he has like the first level down, and he's putting down the mortar. That first level now is blocking the bottom of the cage, and he's saying, "Sir, I have overseen these cellars for years."
Well, clearly you don't know what you're talking about.
"This is true, sir. I've simply been doing this because I like to wear the pants that come with the uniform."
Then if you like wearing the pants of the uniform, do you also like making a profit?
"Oh, yes, I do, sir. But I also know someone's not telling the truth about what they do and what they're doing. Goldspire Winehouse. There is no Goldspire Winehouse, sir. I know all the winehouses in the region surrounding this area."
In all fairness, I am getting started, and I was hoping to find some exquisite wines which I was led to believe that you might have, and we might be able to cut a deal.
Well, and he continues
You
to do
also
this.
run. You also seem to be running quite an operation here with keeping many patrons inebriated, which tells me you probably have a greater need for wine or access to wine than you currently have. Am I not right?
Have you seen the cellars, sir? The last thing we are wanting is wine. What we've been bringing in is a quality of wine that we do not collect, but one that we basically serve. It is not something that you would find. We do not serve things out of our own cellars, sir. I'll tell you what, though, I'm a sporting man. And he continues doing his work. I am going to finish my work here. You say you are a new wine house. I will go and check that out, and if you are correct, I will admit my mistake, and I will come down and let you know. I have no problem with that. But the Duke, you see, the Duke does not like to be fooled. And so I have a certain duty to my boss. And he's continuing to do things.
Does your duty to your boss exceed your desire for wealth?
As he continues doing it, says, I'm a busy little bee, but I'm listening.
I've got a client who is interested in procuring a very specific vintage.
I'm going to assume that's the Amontillado, sir, that you so nicely put earlier. And from behind you,
correct.
you hear in the darkness of this cavern, you hear Amontillado? 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 Amontillado?
I said it, Amontillado.
So I assume that is your real purpose for being here, sir.
I heard rumor that you had some of the best wines.
Oh, that is not just the best wine, sir. That is a whole nother category that most people don't even speak of because they have no knowledge of things of that quality.
That should be enough to prove to you that I do know what I'm talking about when it comes to vintage and wine. I am serious about procuring that wine.
Well, then that you don't go through me, that you go through the Duke, and I do hope you have a king's ransom, sir, because that is what that bottle is worth.
Well, I am working on behalf of another who has that wealth that you're looking for.
Well, I'm sure they will send somebody to speak to the Duke who knows what they're talking about then.
I use unseen servant to try to loot the key from the individual.
Then what you're going to do is you're going to do a sleight of hand roll to pick the pocket of this person, and I'm going to have you do it with disadvantage for the sole reason that the brickwork is kind of up to chest level at this point, so your view of the pockets is obscured. You get the key.
Sweet. And again, I stick with, I'll wait.
He finishes bricking things up. The last thing you hear as the final bricks go in the darkness are the tinkling of the bells of your hat. And from behind you in the darkness, this kind of mumbled, Amontillado. Victor, sir, you are now up to the first level. Not too far from the Great Hall. You go down those stairs. There are a lot of stairs. You make it to that landing. There were a set of stairs to the right, a set of stairs to the left, and a set of stairs straight ahead. But you hear movement and chatter through the stairs straight ahead.
Okay, I'll head that way.
You go down a number of levels of stairs. You hit another landing. Straight ahead, you see a room that opens up with a lot of robes on either side, and you see a lot of people in there getting dressed. There are also passageways that lead to the east and west, to both the other sides as well.
Is a robe within reach of where I am?
You have to go in a little bit, and it's a crowded room.
Okay, then I'll go to the east.
Also, so you know, that looks like a busy, ornate hallway. It looks very structured. The path to the right and left, they don't look like that's where all the traffic has gone.
Do I see a light down either of them? Or?
No, as a matter of fact, whereas the room with all the robes has lots of light, these two do not.
I don't hear any noises or anything in either of the hallways.
Give me a perception check.
That's a 1. +1.
Nope.
2. Yeah.
A
All
one
right.
is always
I'll
a
head
one.
east. Head east.
To the one to the right.
To the right. Yeah.
It twists and turns, and this is what you see. You are down here in the
Oh
lower
my.
right-hand corner.
Mm-hmm.
You see a huge cavern. It's a little passageway that opens up a little bit, like probably 50 feet above what's going on. And down below you, you see lots of people, all with these reddish robes. There is a river of lava going across. On the other side, there is a large statue, something ungodly that the likes of which you have never seen. And you've seen pictures and books of some horrible things. But
Okay.
you see this statue that is very hard to look at. There are people in red, black, and gold robes on the other side. There is an altar, a very large altar at the edge of the river with a number of bodies strapped to it, some of which you seem to remember seeing at the party. There is a crank that is lifting up the altar, and they are then sliding into the rivers of lava.
Just one at a
And-
time. They're putting bodies into the lava.
Well, it's like 3 at a time. This is a big
Okay.
altar. And then you
Okay.
see people bringing very kind of lethargic, but some are vaguely trying to struggle, grabbing them and bringing them a few more.
Is there anyone running the show on the other side of the lava? Do I see?
There are 3 individuals that seem to be the big hoo-has running the ritual. Everyone on this side seems to be in it and very into it.
So they're all watching and no one notices me. And I'm how high up did you say?
About 30 to 50 feet up.
And there's no way for me to, well, I could climb down, I suppose, with some
You
difficulty.
could.
And that's the only direction I could go in.
You can go back.
I'm all alone. I'm gonna head back.
Okay. You come back where that room with all the cloaks were, the robes,
Mhm.
or you can go back up the stairs, or you can head across the other way.
The other way to the left.
That's an even longer passageway, and that comes out here, even higher up. You are actually in a passageway behind the statue.
And how far away are those 3 figures?
They are probably a good 70, 80 feet below you.
And close to each other?
So you see the altar with the red bands on it. Okay, there's one right behind them. And as you go
Okay,
back,
yeah, I
there's
see.
2 other altars. There's one
Okay, yep.
on the inside of each of them.
Okay, yep. I see them now. So they're relatively close. I can cast Hypnotic Pattern up to 120 feet away. I'm going to do that on all 3 of those guys. And so it's
Okie dokie.
DC Wisdom DC 16 save. Do I notice if it had any impact or effect on any of them?
Give me a perception check, please.
7.
You're not really noticing anything different since you've got to this position.
Is there a way for me to climb down? Do I see?
You could climb down the statue.
I'll give it a shot.
And by the way,
Mm-hmm.
when I say that you didn't notice anything different, no one was moving when you
Yep.
arrived there. So you're not
I
sure
kinda-
if they're just in the same position or not.
Right. That's basically what I thought. You weren't saying yes. You weren't saying no. Nothing's changed. One could be impacted. The other 2 maybe. Who knows? We'll find out.
Give
I'm
me a
going to find out.
dexterity. Give me a dexterity check, please.
Let's do 15.
It's a little slippery because it's a big statue, but I'm going to say
Mhm.
you get down to that first level. This statue is on top of a big piece of stone that the other altars and everything are up against, and seems to have carvings of all sorts of writing on. You can't really tell from this angle. And there's a brazier on either side. The chanting has stopped as well, you notice.
And have I made it to the bottom?
You're going to need to give me one more dexterity check, please.
Okay. Yeah, I'll keep going. That is a 5. Ah!
You take 5 points of damage and land flat on your belly on the ground. So you land and you get the wind knocked out of you and going, and no one seems to notice.
Excellent. Take an ego hit, get up, dust myself off, make my way to the figure in the front, assuming this
Okay.
is the Duke.
He has a red satin hood that comes to like a conical top.
I guess we have a little DM discretion here because it doesn't say anything about talking.
He has his hands out, and he's just like, seems to be frozen there.
Okay, so I'll walk past the two and then towards him and look at him and say, "Have I found the Duke?"
I'm going to say there is no response.
How big is this figure?
They're a normal person size,
Is there
so they're a
human?
little shorter than you,
Okay, and they're human.
because you're a pretty tall, thin guy.
I think this falls within my character. I'm going to pick him up and I'm going to walk over to the lava
Okay.
and I'm going to drop him in.
Yeah, I think a 2 means that he's not reacting. The last thing you hear is searing hisses and screams.
Then I will go over to one of the other figures and ask them where the Duke is. Before, I assume no more bodies are going into the lava, right?
Everyone has kind of frozen.
Okay. I just making sure that's not still happening and I need to do something else.
So basically, give me a perception check, please. Okay. I'm going to have it that they can't really talk either.
1.
Okay. I think we've had
Okay.
more ones tonight than ever.
Brutal. Unless you need to leave, then you can get to
No. I'm the one running this.
No. I meant Eleanor. She had to leave, so it was 20s galore.
Right. Oh, okay. Very well put. Yeah, they don't respond.
There's no one else for me to talk to. Are there any people around that could be freed?
There are the people who were struggling, who were being pulled forward, but they're just kind of hanging there, like just loosely and dumbfounded looking, like not really moving. Remember, your hypnotic pattern only lasts so long.
I'll let them take care of themselves, and I'm gonna try climbing up the statue. I
Okay.
guess. Is that really a path to the left?
There's a path to the left and a path to the right.
To the right feels like it makes more sense. I'm gonna go running down the path to the right.
Roll me 120-sider, please. And if you have any dexterity bonuses, go ahead and throw them in there.
So that would be 21. Dirty, obviously.
Okay, here's what we're going to do. You run out of there. You find your way up. You get up to the main floor. You get turned around a little bit. You start heading into the Great Hall, but you hear something behind you. You turn around and look. There is a tall figure robed in gray linens. It turns and looks. It has a face that is gray. The eyes are sunken in. The mouth is in the shape of a mouth that's about ready to scream. You notice from underneath, this is obviously a mask. There is blood dripping. This gray linen is splattered with blood. And from underneath the mask, there is blood just dripping down the front. You know the thing that is the sure sign of this plague is when you've caught it, your orifices start to bleed. You see this and turn and head out into the Great Hall. You see all those bodies laying around, and from beneath all of those masks, you see blood dripping down.
Oh.
And I'm going to say that you make it out of there, and you make it back from whence you came. And that is where we are going to end it for this evening.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. Tune in next week when we get back to our regularly scheduled show and we have everyone back with us. Thank you so much to Brianna, our Vivalda, who joined us as Eleanor the Loxodon. She was an absolute pleasure. But tune in next week. Same Grognard time, same Grognard channel. And as always, be kind.